live from the Cajun capital of the world.
I'm the average Lafayette, Louisiana kid.
See, I'm back on my...
Hey, fellas. Hey, Raging Review said, congratulations. Say what's up, y'all. Yeah!
People that have courage don't have no extra gene and no difference in you. The difference is, are you going to sit down when it's time to stand up?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to Ragin' Review. We're recording this on Thursday night, February 22nd, ahead of the upcoming series against UC San Diego in baseball, and coming off a seven-game win streak, boys. That is still intact. We've got my boy KG in the house tonight, Jerry as always, and of course Mike Beard joining us as well. Excited to start talking about baseball, but don't fret. We got other stuff on the way. We've got some basketball talk coming up. I think Brad Boyd is going to try to hop on tonight. We're going to talk softball. We're going to get into the presidential search and who is going to be officially announced as the next president of the University of Louisiana. So looking forward to that. But of course, as always, before we get started with that, we've got to thank our sponsors. So we'll do that. And as soon as we come back, we'll get right into it. We'd like to thank the following partners who make Ragin' Review possible. Our title sponsor, the Best Stop Family Market, with locations in Katy and Baytown, Texas, Toledo Bend, Karen Crow, and of course, the official location opened in 1986 in Scott. Visit the Best Stop and ask about the Ragin' Review tailgate platters. Gulf Coast Bank, title sponsor of the Tailgate Show every Saturday, 3 hours before kickoff. Planet Radio 106.7, Lafayette Roofing, The Yard Goat, Yes Please Branding and Marketing, Old Time Grocery, Stride Safety Solutions, Eat Lafayette brought to you by Lafayette Travel, Ragin' Hydration, and Dr. Brett Venable at Recovery Chiromed. And we'd also like to thank our Patreon sponsors listed here. For only $2 a month, you too could have early access to uncut interviews before they air here on our shows. You also get an exclusive Patreon icon next to your name on Cajun Threads, the official message form for Ragin' Review. If you are interested in joining as a Patreon, visit us at patreon.com/Ragin' Review. Thanks to all of our corporate and Patreon sponsors for making this show possible. We can't forget to give a shout out to our friends over at the Best Stop Cajun Market, celebrating their 40th anniversary this year, which is absolutely crazy. I'm almost as old as them. I'm not going to say which way, but I'm almost as old as the Best Stop in Scott. Of course, they've since branched out to locations in, let's see if I can get this from memory, Broussard, Karen Crow, Toledo Bend. They've got one in Baytown, Texas, Katy, Texas, and of course, the mothership over in Scott. I think I hit them all, so I'm getting pretty good at this. But we have some really cool things going on with the Best Stop for their 40th anniversary. And of course, they are the official gratons of Ragin' Review. So you can stop by and look. Them chicken cracklins, ball, when they come out the grease hot, man, you can't beat them. Those are the best. I know Kurt, you need a butcher. They got good stuff over there. But I'm going to say the Best Stop has the best chicken cracklins in the area. So go check them out. All right, boys, let's first talk about the weekend series. Of course, we got a Big Ten sweep over the Maryland Terrapins, formerly coached by John Sheff, who now moved on to Virginia Tech, where he's been there quite a while. But several years ago, we had scheduled Maryland. They came over, and then I think he went to Virginia Tech after that. So he didn't make a trip here with Maryland, I believe, but he made it with Virginia Tech, or it might be reverse. I'm not sure which one. But either way, Maryland comes back to the Teague, and like the last series, the Cajuns, the Cajuns really did some work, and this time they got the sweep over Maryland with 2 walk-off wins. Very reminiscent of the last time they came to the Teague, winning on Friday night 7-6. Maryland then got beat by the Cajuns 9-1 on Saturday, and then a 6-5 walk-off win in 15 innings on Sunday. Patience at the plate really helped the Cajuns on Friday night because, of course, that was a walk-off win via a walk. You don't see that too often. Of course, Suge had one at the Houston Regional a few years ago, and that was a lot of fun to watch. The bat flip is still, I think, in orbit on a walk, which was actually kind of funny. But that was a good time. Let's start with you, Cole. We're going to lightly go over this, just your overall thoughts on the weekend. By the way, we are going to try to do recaps for the weekend series after the game on Sunday. So be sure to stick around and check us out and call in, please, because we love the interaction. But Cole, let's talk about just high-level overview of Maryland, what you thought about that series.
No, for sure. And listen, great job to you guys hopping on Sunday night and doing that. Mike, Kevin, I know you guys are contributing to Rage and Review. Want to thank you guys. Nick, great job putting it on because, yeah, after a sweep like that, there is a very large contingent of Cajun fans that want to talk baseball. They want to ride the adrenaline, stay on that high. So kudos to y'all for providing a space for, Cajun baseball fans to tune in and share the excitement of a sweep. Talking about the weekend, though, you started the weekend with that comeback win in the 9th inning, and that kick-started, it was just such a kick-starter to the entire weekend, scoring 4 runs with no outs. I want to say, 4 walks, 1 hit by pitch, and 2 base hits, and that was good enough to win the game, scoring 4 with no outs. I mean, once you do that and you set the tone on Friday night, and then turn around and you got another dominant pitching performance by Andrew Herman, who is arguably the best arm on the team right now, at least statistically, with Sawyer Pruitt. I mean, you get a great comeback win on Friday, follow it up with a blowout on Saturday, and then Sunday you played just well enough to seal the deal and seal the sweep. I mean, I could say this. At home, as a Cajuns fan, you always want to take 2 of 3. You go into every home series hoping you get 2 of 3. To get a sweep, especially against a team that's in a power conference, I mean, dude, that's sweet. And Maryland might be, a little bit on the lower side of the power conference teams right now. I know with a new coach, they're trying to rebuild that program. Every time we play them, it's tight. But, I mean, let me say this. This is the biggest difference from last year's team to this year's team. Last year, it seemed like we couldn't find a way to win those close games. And the old saying is, good teams find a way to win. Well, guess what, boys? The Cajuns are finding ways to win. And even in that 15-inning marathon where you got to do center field twice, which was awesome, by the way, it was a great weekend to watch Cajuns baseball. It might be a little early, but the boys are back.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that because I might throw some water on the fire you guys have burning right now in the 7 wins in a row. And apparently, as we were all correct, Epstein did not kill himself. He just invited Sawyer Pruitt to a one-way flight to the island this week. Hopefully he won't take him up on that. And then Bryce mentioning we are 3rd in the country in innings pitched and a 0 ERA, which is crazy when you think about we had one of the highest ERAs in the country last year as a staff. And right now the pitchers are really doing a great job. And not only the starting pitchers, the bullpen behind them, some shaky moments, but they're finding a way to pull through. Mike, your thoughts on the weekend series?
Absolutely. Like you said, like what we are getting better at, the back end of the bullpen, it's still a little sketchy, but we're seeing better outings from them. The things that struck out this weekend against the Maryland series, we had 10 or more hits every game. We had double-digit hits every game this weekend with 0 errors. That will win you a lot of games all year long. Dominant pitching performance on Saturday with Herm and Sawyer Pruitt. Can't get enough of Sawyer. The back end, Hayden Pearson is extremely getting better. He's not having long outings, but he's having effective outings. The innings he is getting, he's getting really good production out of them. So it was just a really good sweep overall. That is huge for us. And I just thought we dominated from top to bottom all weekend long. It was a really good weekend sweep.
We got some shout outs from some of our listeners. One of them saying the bats need to be more consistent. I agree. I think the bats have to be a lot more consistent if we're being honest, because These 2-1, 3-2 games are giving me heartburn. Parker Smith doing a good job, a dog this weekend and last night. We'll talk about his performance last night as well. Agreeing with Josh, lack of pop. Same story, different season. I'm not saying we are the same team we are last season, because of course we're not. We're not the same team. That's clear. But there are still some things we need to clean up, especially laying down a freaking bunt. We'll talk about that later. And then James Carrier giving us a little tip here. His cover charge for coming watch Rage and Review. Very fired up for baseball. Go to more games every year. James, thank you. You can hang up and listen, but you can call back anytime, sir. You have paid the cover. All right, boys, let's talk about it and move on to Kansas State. Jerry, welcome back. I know it seems like this week we all have some tech issues, and you look like you're thrilled with your computer. But let's talk about Kansas State coming to the tee. Coming into the game, I think they hit 73 home runs, and you look at their team batting average was like 400 or like in the high threes, and you're like, all right, these guys, one, they have pop, and two, they're going to swing the bat and they're going to hit. The only time they were stopped was when they played, I think, Auburn, who's a ranked team, and they lost that game 5-1, if my memory serves me correct. So they came in on Tuesday, me thinking, all right, our pitching's going to have to show up on Tuesday. And did it ever? Our boy Sawyer Pruitt, freshman phenom, somebody just compared him to Lunch Winfield, our baseball's Lunch Winfield. You know what? Hey, that makes a little bit of sense. I'm not gonna deny that. You also have to tip your hat to Tanner Duke. He had 5 strikeouts, 3 hits, gave up 1 run on the day. But you look at Sawyer Pruitt, through 95 pitches, through 6, gave up only 3 hits and had 3 free bases, 3 walks, and that was later in their appearance. You could kind of tell that last inning he was kind of, getting a little, it was time for him to come out, especially around 95 pitches. And then 9 strikeouts on the night. We're talking about a team, again, who was slugging in the 700s, hitting in the 400s as a team. You got one of the hottest hitters in their shortstop coming in, and we just shut him down. And Hayden Pearson came in behind him, gave up a walk, but had 2 strikeouts to shut the door. And then Garrett Carter closed it out with 1 walk and a strikeout in that final inning of play. But the one thing I think I want to see cleaned up, obviously, I want to see the bats wake up a little bit, right? Because that's another example of where they kind of went to sleep. We tried manufacturing runs. I think we got caught stealing on the first base runner of the game. That kind of stuff kind of rears its ugly head again. And some people will say it's the man at third base that making those calls that are putting our guys in the position to fail in those moments. But regardless, something we need to clean up, whether it's a player or a coach's thing. I want to see the guys be able to lay down a bunt. I want to see guys be able to hit a double down the left field line. I want to see all of our players be elite Amadei and be able to hit it up, the middle for a single, for a double, because the man is a double machine. So let's, talk about the overall feeling from that first game against Kansas State. You love to see how we came out the gate with that win. You love to see how we really, we talk about the Wolfpack mentality. There was never any quit in this team, and they were very patient in that 9th inning to get the win. Mike, I'll start with you. That game Tuesday night, man, it was a lot of fun to watch, and it was great to see the guys kind of, again, persevere in the end and get a win. And it looks like we're going to have a lot of those close games this season.
Absolutely. That was a team full of a bunch of dudes. Like they had some guys that can hack. That's a Big 12 opponent. Hats off to Sawyer Pruitt. 6 innings, 3 hits, no runs, no earned runs, 3 walks, 9 strikeouts, faced 23 batters. The guy just went off. But like you said earlier, so I have some bad notes. We try and steal third when I don't think we really needed to, because we had 1 out. There was no reason to put that much pressure on him that early. Another thing I have right here, Lee swung at a 3-0 pitch and popped up. We didn't really need a swing on a 3-0 pitch. Lee's not that type of guy to hit that many home runs. So that was another thing. And then Blaze bunts with 2 outs. So there was a few things that we could have kind of cleaned up, and that's a huge team. You don't want to make many errors to that kind of team. That is a Big 12 opponent. They're going to win a lot of games in their conference. Huge pitching, like Hayden Pearson again. Garrett Carter really showed up to finish off the game. We only had 3 hits that game. So it came down to our pitching staff pulling all the weight for that game. our pitching staff struck them out 12 times. That is humongous because that is a team that can really swing it. And I mean, props to our pitching staff that game because that's basically what really won the game.
Which brings me back to the Saturday game against Missouri State, man. I want that one back. I think the team that played these last 5 games are so different than the one that played that second game. But again, guys are getting going. They're trying to figure it out. KG, I'll let you go next. Your thoughts on the Tuesday night game?
Well, no, I'm glad that you just brought up the Missouri Saturday game because I actually talked with Jerry about this earlier this week. And my thoughts on that is that the way that Maryland gave up the Friday game, right? And we had some good at-bats. We did some good things and put ourselves in a situation to win that game. But the way that Maryland gave up that game, I think Maryland gave that game up more than the Cajuns wanted. And I think most of y'all, if not all of y'all, would agree with that. Missouri was the same. Missouri State was the same on the flip side. We gave that game up more than Missouri State wanted. I am okay with both of those games being a wash at this point because we should have won that game against Missouri State, and it's fair to say we probably should have lost that game against Maryland. So I'm not going to let it eat at me and have the monkey on your back for the rest of the season. I'm okay with calling those two a wash and moving forward, and I'm just happy that we're riding this hot streak, Nick. I think the boys have really found their roles on this team. Yeah, offensively we need to come around, but keep in mind, in the back of your mind, Kansas State's a regional team. And they are a historically good program. They got historically good pitching, even on a midweek. So I'm not going to beat up our offense too bad when the opponent the last 2 games is Kansas State. Now, if we only scored, 2 or 3 runs against, and I'm going to throw some shade on some in-state schools, on like a Nichols or Northwestern State, then we have something to talk about. But, you're not scoring right now, but you're still finding ways to win. And that's because your pitching and defense, especially at home, is usually good at the Teague. A Teague is a pitcher's ballpark. If you could pitch and play good defense, you can will yourself to some wins. And that's exactly what we saw over these last 2 games.
And Josh kind of is going in the direction I'm going to go a little bit later after we wrap up the conversation about Kansas State. Because it's still, jury's out for me. I know we're significantly improved from what I've seen, but I also see some of that stuff creeping back in, Jerry. Your thoughts, we'll get to that in a second, but give me your thoughts on Tuesday night's game. Good, bad, ugly. What are your thoughts, and what did you see that gives you confidence kind of going into, I wouldn't say going into the rest of the season, but going into the Wednesday game, knowing that you get to face Kansas State one more time?
Well, Tuesday night we saw a Tony Robichaux style win, pitching and defense. During the Robe era, there were hundreds of wins like that where maybe the bats weren't as hot, but you depended on your pitchers and just flawless defense. No errors. They were flying all over the field. Defensively, I thought we were on our toes. I thought that Sawyer, what more can you say about him? 6 innings, 9 strikeouts against that team. Right? Coming into the game, their slugging percentage was in the 500s or 400s. They were batting over 300. They were, I think, a top 30 hitting team. And you let a true freshman go in there and dominate you to the point, guys, to the point where if you looked at some of those strikeouts, those batters, they were swinging at air at some point. There was one pitch Sawyer threw, and this is kind of the philosophy of Sandy that I've learned over the last couple of weeks. He loves throwing inside strikes. He loves our pitchers throwing inside strikes. Sawyer threw one inside, and their batter knew it was coming. He kind of hit him up high. Batter still whiffed at it. When you start to get into the psyche of a good hitting team like that, where they're swinging at those type of pitches, you got them. You won the chess match. And I think that's what happened with Sawyer on Tuesday night. Shout out to Mark Collins. We've been talking about Mark Collins needs to get more play time. He just crushed it to left field. I don't know what the velo was off the bat, but it was we knew the second it hit the bat and went yards. So good for him. I was glad to see him get his first home run on the year. But no, it was a good win, and it's good to, with a Degs type team over the last 6 or 7 years, we've always have to depend on offense. It's the offense. We got to out hit teams, and it's good to see us win in another dynamic, a different dynamic, which I think it's bigger than what people think, because now you're starting to see we can win with pitching when the bats are down. To your point about the game against Missouri State, Cole, I feel like now I can forget about it because we took 2 out of 2 from Kansas State and we beat Missouri and Maryland on Friday night. And we'll talk about that Wednesday game in a second. But no, that was a Tony Robichaux style win on Tuesday.
liked what I saw going into Wednesday, felt confident, but kind of told myself, you know what, if we split 1-1, I'm happy with that. And I was so sick of hearing other folks seeing it on social media. Oh, great mid-major wins from the Sun Belt. We'll talk about the other wins as well. But I hate that term mid-major, man, because there's nothing mid-major about teams like historically like us, like UC Irvine, like Coastal, obviously. I mean, you're going to call them mid-major. Southern Miss, you're going to call them mid-major. So we'll talk about that later, but
G5
saw a lot. Yeah. And that's not a term
even a
of
baseball term.
But neither is mid-major, but people keep hanging on to that. So we'll talk about that later, but let's talk about Wednesday's game. You know, we love playing extra inning games, I guess, this year. And we did it again. We blinked for a second and just, you know, sometimes a pitcher will throw a fat fastball and they connect on it and got the solo home run to tie the game. I get that. I wasn't very upset with that. What I was upset with is in the ninth inning when we're trying to score, we're trying to lay down bunts. We can't do it. We're running ourselves out of innings as well, by the way, because that was a situation where you saw Deggs take some chances that probably should not have yet again for no reason. I want to know why our best hitter is at the plate with 2 outs, bases loaded, and we take the bat out of his hands and try to lay down a bunt. I mean, I get you're going to try to push it past the pitcher, but we couldn't even get it on the turf. We kept popping up bunts. So I think that was the most frustrating thing for me outside of our left fielder dropping a routine fly ball and then laughing about it. Now, I know the win was tricky, but you saw Donnie LaSalle in right field. That guy, if you had any question about his ability to play right field with that wind blowing and the catches he made and the throws he made, that throw to third base, was it third base or home? I think it was home. He threw the guy at third. Okay, he threw the guy out at third. Absolutely unbelievable throw. So I loved what I saw at Donnie LaSalle. I loved, again, the grit out of the team. And even though they kind of kept clawing back, I mean, credit to the Kansas State coach. He made a couple of stupid base running decisions as well. We hung in there, we gritted it out, we got the win. One of the things that Reaux always said, we're grinders. We're going to grind out wins. I saw that on Wednesday night, KG. And again, the pitching performance, you held them to 2 runs. So they score 73 and you hold them to 2. I think that's special right there, KG.
Yeah, so I mean, whenever we came out with the lineup and you saw that Pappenbrock was going to be starting, I know a lot of us kind of were like, and it's only because of how his outings had went before that. But I'll say this, I mean, 5 innings pitched, 1 hit, 0 earned runs, 1 walk, and 3 Ks. The man looks like he's just more comfortable as a starter. He looks like he's more comfortable when he knows he's going to get the ball and get on the bump and have the day to kind of prepare himself. And that's all I can think of right now because his relief appearances to this point have been very shaky, but his start last night was night and day from that. He looked like he could definitely be a midweek starter for this program. So yeah, when you get a start like that from a midweek pitcher, yeah, it sets the entire game in motion. We were able to scratch an early run in that game. Yeah, we made some questionable base running decisions, but I think after the way that Tuesday night went, both coaches understood that they would have to stretch their abilities on the base paths to try to create, try to manufacture runs. They were trying to get players in scoring positions any way they could. It was very evident from the Kansas State side. We joked about in the group message that if the first base coach was on the Cajuns team, he probably would be fired as of today because they ran themselves out of a ton of innings. But yeah, Nick, to your point, I'm going to go back to Donnie LaSalle real quick. It was his first real start since the very first weekend, especially in right field. Made a couple of really good catches, especially that one falling over the railing on the foul line. Was able to pick up a hard hit ground ball through the infield on 1 or 2 hops and gun the guy out on a perfect throw at third, to end the inning. So Donnie pulled his weight defensively. Still want to see him, get more reps at the plate and have better at bats. But all in all, guys, I mean, what can you complain about? The pitching was once again great, and it was from guys that are at the bottom side of our bullpen, guys guys that probably won't throw again until maybe late Saturday or Sunday. And then you were able to follow that up with Drew Markle's solo bomb in extra innings to put the game away. And I know Drew was pumped. I know his dad, Josh, who is a good friend of Section A, a friend of the pod, I know for a fact he was pumped up, and I could not be more happy for the young man.
Me either, man. It was so fun to watch him round third, take his helmet off like that. He was ready. And by the way, talk a little bit of shit to the other dugout. I don't know what was being said, but apparently, they were talking shit during the week, and he got the kind of the last laugh when he turned around and flexed on him. I miss seeing that out of our teams, man. We haven't seen that in a really long time, and that's a good thing to see. But credit again to the pitching staff. Pappenbrock went 5, gave up 1 hit and only 1 walk with 3 strikeouts, and that's what was good to see last night. Only 2 walks on the night. Cole Flanagan struggled a little bit. He came in for an inning, gave up 4 hits and a run, but did not give away any freebies, which was good to see. Parker Smith, a hit, a run, 1 earned, and 1 walk with 3 strikeouts, and then Bryce Wilson closed it out later in the game with 2 innings of pitching and 1 strikeout. No freebies from Bryce Wilson either. So guys, got it done. Did a great job. I got to send a shout out, by the way, to Brian Benton, the most analytical mastermind of RPI we've ever ever talked to. And we probably need to have another conversation with him to understand what this net thing is. And are we going with net and RPI? I don't know about any of that, but great job by pitching staff again. And again, credit to the Kansas State pitchers as well for holding us at bay. But I really did like what I saw out of Pappenbrock again after his really bad start. First appearance as a Cajun, 69 pitches through 5. I'll take that midweek any game. Any day of the week. I love seeing that. Go ahead, Mike. What are your thoughts? By the way, I want to go ahead and give a shout out to their second baseman, and D. Kennedy, the shortstop. D. Kennedy. That guy is a beast. He's a competitor. We fooled him all weekend, but you can tell that guy has power and can hit with pop, and he knows the game of baseball. That was very impressive to watch him, and I know our Section A folks that were there gave him a lot of shit too. But go ahead, Mike. Give me your thoughts on game 2.
Exactly. That dude is a stud. He was really good. Every ball he made contact with was really hard. You can just tell, that's a draft type guy. But to looking at this, Drew Markle had 2 out of the 5 hits last night. It was his night. With the walk-off, congratulations to Markle. That's got to be the best feeling in the world. Going back to Donnie, when I saw him in the lineup, I was like, okay, this is your second chance. Really hoping he would get the bat going hot. He goes 0 for 4, a couple strikeouts, or 1 strikeout, but 1 ball he did hit to shortstop. He got a hold of that ball. So I was like, okay, we're making progress here. The guy really got on top of that ball. It was really hard hit. I just really wish his bat would get a little hot because he's great on defense, right? We saw his arm at third. That is a strong kid. And for him to make that kind of throw when it was really crucial, because that ended the inning and that got us to go to the next inning and go get that bat. But props to him. Great defense. Pappenbrock looks way better as a starter, in my opinion. I think he really, like Cole said, he felt comfortable. He looked comfortable. He had control, had command on the mound. 5 innings and 1 hit. Faced 16 batters. The guy just threw a hell of a job. Cole Flanagan, like you said, struggled. That's 2 kind of outings he's had some struggles in. Parker Smith is really growing on me. He looks more confident. He was really looking good last night. And then Bryce Wilson had a really turnaround appearance compared to the last appearance to now. He closed the game, 6 batters, 1 hit, goes 2 innings. The guy looked 10 times better on the mound last night. Once again, the pitchers stepped up when we needed it, 3-2. That is a really good team, and for us to take 2 from them was humongous for us.
Jerry, your thoughts to wrap up game 2 of Kansas State?
Honestly, that was a game we lose in the past. And even with some of the boneheaded base running decisions by Kansas State, we capitalized on it to the point where even though we had some boneheaded decisions, we also caught some breaks. And I thought one of the things that stuck out to me besides the pitching was the defense. We talk about Markle's walk-off home run, which was great, But how about Drew at third base and some of the throws he made across the field with that crosswind, and Lee. So I mean, is doing splits at first base. Big Lee, so that's huge on the infield. I also want to give props to, a name we're not really talking about because he went later in the game in center field, Noah Lewis. He made some rundowns in center field because let's be honest, Kansas State, they hit the ball a lot harder last night. There were a lot more harder outs. So credit the outfield for the most part with the win. Racing down those hard fly balls, especially of course Donnie LaSalle, great job at right field, hell of a throw to third base. So just great defense overall. To limit that team to 2 runs last night was huge. But I gotta say, guys, one thing that really impressed me the most, and I know it's cliche to say about the pitching, but think about it. 2 of our starters the last 2 nights are freshmen. We had 2 freshmen, and then Bryce Wilson. What Mike just said about Bryce Wilson. You come into the game when you feel like Kansas State has most of the momentum to close it in extra innings, and he comes down the last 2 innings and shuts them down. All freshman pitchers. That right there to me is the big news of this series is you let the freshman pitchers dominate a Big 12 team on the mound, and then you let the defense back it up. So no, last night was huge. Honestly, I really thought it was our game to lose towards the end. Kansas State kept fighting back. They had momentum. We just shut the door on them with that walk-off by Drew. So I would have been ecstatic with a split. I was ecstatic on Tuesday night after this win. To get a sweep against that team, RPI-wise, is ginormous. So great win. Now we carry that momentum into a good UC San Diego team. But, man, to sweep Kansas State in the midweek with this team that you're really kind of still learning about, huge. Huge overall.
Well, I don't know how good UC San Diego is. We'll talk about them in a second because I know my stat guy has all the rundown on them. But, and I said this in the group chat earlier, I think for me, the Maryland series was a big series for us. I think this series against Kansas State, obviously being 7-0 makes us feel good inside. But I really want to see how we perform against a UC San Diego coming up. I'm not saying they're a bad baseball team. I don't want them to clip any of this. I mean, they're not going to watch us, but you don't want to give bulletin board material. They've got some nice things that they do and comparable to us, if we're being honest. But you want to see how you play against the teams that you should beat. And I think we should have beat Rice midweek, and that was very, very nice. Of course, we had our boy Sawyer on the mound, and we see how he's developed so far this season. And then a little bit feeling like underdogs against Maryland and Kansas State. I want to see how we do with a team that's supposed to be competitive with us, maybe competitive as far as Sunbelt level team. I want to see that this weekend and how we respond. And I'm going to throw some cold water on the conversation. Should we pump the brakes or are we back? I'm just going to say we pump the brakes a little bit. Let's see what we do this weekend, but we have to start swinging the bat. And Josh made a comment earlier about Deggs' offense. That is what we were all excited to see Deggs come back and do. And we've seen glimpses of that these last few years. And when we get into regionals, especially when we went to the A&M regional we're hitting it all over the ballpark. We need to see some consistency with that offense. And to throw a little cold water. Now, this is just a comparison for numbers' sakes because we've played a lot less games than we did last season. So this number should certainly go up. But right now we're batting 240 as a team. We bat 262 last year. So yeah, we had a great offensive production game against Missouri State, but we still lost. And we hit the ball against Maryland in game 2. But I think we exposed Maryland's lack of bullpen there. So I'm pumping the brakes a little bit. Now, from a pitching perspective, I'm not pumping the brakes as much. I think Coach Sandy has just done a phenomenal job, and it's apparent. This is the most confident I've felt with our pitching staff in the second week of a season going back to the Rogue days. Like, I feel good about this. Now, we do have a lot of young guys, as you said, Jerry. What concerns me there is tape will start getting out, scouting reports start getting out. You think about the fact that Sawyer, I think this might have been his first game starting on television. So they're going to watch that tape. And by the way, I heard from pretty good source.
It wasn't televised. So he actually,
you're right. So he
both of his games he's played have not been televised.
Well, the first one will probably be TSAB because very
There
good
you go.
sources tell me he's going to be getting the start against TSAB,
He
which may
should.
be setting him up for a weekend getting into the starting rotation on the weekend, depending on how this weekend goes. So those reports, those videos, those tapes will start getting out and circulating, and you're probably going to see a bit of a pullback from all of the young pitchers. So I think, yeah, it's okay to get excited, but also we need to temper our expectations and pull back a little bit. Anybody agree or disagree with me on that? I'll kind of open up the floor.
I guess I'll start. No, you're not. I mean, it's good to be hesitant. I mean, yeah, you're right. We're batting 240 right now. That's not great. You're not setting the world on fire. You have one qualified hitter that's hitting over 300, and that's Reaux Hernandez. So, yeah, we're going to need more offensive production. But I counter that with what? We scored 21 runs this weekend. Now, most of that was on Saturday. You scored 9, but you scored, 6 in the other 2 games? Missouri State, you had a pretty damn good offensive output, so you're hitting the ball on the weekends. I just keep going back to the fact that, guys, this is a Big 12 historically good ball club that not only held you down, but you held down. Those were the kind of games that you're going to have to get gritty and find ways to win. So I'm not looking at the offensive output for those last 2 games under a microscope. I'm taking those games from what they are, like hard-fought wins. Those are the kind of games that, good teams find a way to win, and that's exactly the kind of wins that they're talking about when they say that. Like the fact that you could beat Kansas State by 1 run, late in ball games where you got to have good pitching, deep pitching, good pitching, find a way to manufacture runs. We did all of that. So, I mean, what we're doing at the plate, yeah, we're not getting enough base hits. We're not hitting enough home runs. But you're doing the little things other than bunting. We talked about that earlier. You're doing the majority of the little things right, especially when they need to happen late in ball games when you're trying to, win a ball game. So I'm not going to critique this offense too much, but no, it's not unreasonable to say you're pumping the brakes because the offensive output isn't there yet. I get that. But I'm just saying pitching and defense, especially with playing at the Teague, that is a bulletproof pitcher's ballpark. And you heard John Taylor say this when we interviewed him a week ago. It is very hard for college baseball players to hit at the Teague. So if you're telling me we're going to have really good pitching and really good defense this season, give me that all year long. And the offense can figure it out. Because pitching and defense is going to carry us to a lot of wins. I'm just saying.
It's hard to hit it out unless your name is Bogenfool. Then good God, that guy's a monster. Mike, let's talk about pumping the brakes, but also I want to ask you this because you've been a longtime fan. When is the last time? I mean, to me, this is the best defensive effort we've seen out of Degg's team since he's been here, and all signs are pointing up to that will continue. When you consider the number of fantastic plays we saw, especially last night, when's the last time, or do you think this is the best defensive team that you have seen so far under the Degg's era?
It's definitely close. I mean, we went on a 5-game streak of 0 errors. We did put up 2 errors last night. But, man, it was refreshing to go through that stretch of just no errors, not having to worry about defense. When the ball's hit, you can kind of turn around and they're going to get the outs. Probably going back to 24, with Debo. Debo didn't make many errors, so it's kind of like relevant to that. But it was really good to just have good defense for once. I'm tired of talking about errors every single game. Like last year. Last year was so rough it was always errors every game. And now we have like a consistent lineup, a consistent position set up to where you're not seeing guys move around. So we know what we're getting out of these guys. But going back to what y'all were saying, to take 2 from a Big 12 opponent and they scored 2 runs in 2 games, I mean, just props to the pitching staff that showed up the last 2 games, the underclassmen, and it was just really good series against Kansas State. That's a really good team. I did not expect to take 2 from them. Like Jerry said, I was at most just trying to take 1 from them. But I do like to pump the brakes. I want to ride the high, right? We swept Maryland. You take 2 from a Big 12 opponent. Maryland was Big 10. You play in UC San Diego this weekend, which, yeah, they are at a lower level compared to the teams we just played. But at minimum, we have to take 2. I'm trying to sweep again. We should be able to sweep. I think we matched pretty well against this team. There's no reason at minimum not to take 2 from this weekend, but I'm not gonna pump the brakes, man. I'm a ride the high. We have really good pitching. The underclassmen have so much confidence, like they're playing lights out, and the older classmen once they just get to that level, to have underclassmen and older classmen be on that same page, man, we can really do some damage.
Seeing the attitude in this team this year, I might give him the water hose boys moniker back. I took it away last year. They weren't water hose boys. They were drinking out of a milk carton. But this year, I might, we're gonna hold off on that, but I think I might give it back to them because, like I said, when you saw Markle turn around and talk shit back to the dugout, that was, if it were another team, I'd call them classless, but that's my guy, so I think that's fantastic. Jerry, but I'll let you close out the conversation there. Do we pump the brakes? But also, I wanted to mention, I asked Santa this Christmas whether, or I asked him for 2 things. I asked him for a better defense, and I asked him for better base running. I'm batting 500 right now, boys. We got the defense shored up. We got to have better base running there. I'd like to see somebody else in the third base coach's box because I think Deggs makes the gambling decision when the gambling decision doesn't need to be made. And look, he looks like a genius when it works, but then again, we're still going, but why did you even try that? We could have, so that drives me a little bit nuts. But Jerry, your thoughts, do we pump the brakes going forward or do we just enjoy the ride? Like Big Kev, because I almost changed Mike's name to Big Kev because Kev always thinks everything's wonderful.
I'm kind of with Mike on this. Like, I'm enjoying the high and I'm enjoying the ride because just our athletic season in general has been atrocious in the last, probably since our football season in 24, right? I mean, you had basketball lose last year. You had baseball have a losing season. Softball missed the postseason. Football went 6-7 this year. The basketball team struggling. I'm enjoying winning consistently again for the first time in a while. So I'm looking at this from a broader scope. As far as baseball goes, we are 9 games in a 56-game season. So we got a long way to go, but we're off to a hot start. And we're off to a hot start with a fairly new roster, a young pitching staff, and a team that's still trying to figure it out. And you're doing it by beating big programs. You just swept the Big Ten school. In all 3 games, you found 3 different ways to win it. You just swept a midweek against a Big 12 team that is going to be probably a regional team again. So you're doing this with a fairly new team. So I'm kind of riding the high right now. I'm enjoying it a little bit. Am I pumping the brakes on the expectation of what's going to happen in the future? Yeah, because again, with a young team, you're going to have some bumps along the way. But I do like the fact that this team just doesn't quit and they don't play scared. They just play with this sense of swagger that I have not seen in a long time. To your point about the fielding percentage, I looked it up. I think we're fielding right now. We're actually, our fielding percentage is one of the best it's been in a long time. We're fielding, our percentage is 982. This is the highest it's been since 2023 when our fielding percentage was 983. But before 2023, pre-2013, even through that 2013 through 2016 run we made, our fielding percentage now is better than any of those seasons. So you have to go back to like probably 2000, 2004, 2005, maybe the 90s to see how good, to really see our fielding, how well our fielding percentage was. So they're off to a great start and they're doing it with a bunch of young guys that just are enjoying the game. So I'm pumping the brakes on the expectations. Like, this doesn't mean we're automatically going to Omaha, right? But I'm also enjoying watching this team develop, and I'm enjoying them watching them develop, beating good teams.
I took 2 pitchers out to lunch one day, and we were talking about the team from last year, and one of them kind of joked, pitchers do their own thing, but they watch. And one of the things that they did last year were trying to do a lead kick like Ichiro Suzuki would do back in the day because it worked for him, so it's going to work for every batter. I am thankful to say there was no early leg kick like Ichiro did. He'd bring his leg in high and then he'd swing. So I'm happy. I'm pleased to not see that coming back this year. And Justin saying it seems to be timing at the plate. I agree. They're not as aggressive as they have been in the past seasons because you could always count on first strike swinging. They seem to be a little more patient at the plate and having a little bit more discipline, but we need to start connecting on some of those pitches. And also you have to think, you look at the fielding percentage of the teams that we played in the last few games, really, really good defense from the other side as well. We had hits stolen from us last night and in the past few games. So you also have to take that into consideration a little bit. We squared some up, but it sometimes they just don't fall. I'll let you go, Mike. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to capitalize on what Jerry was saying. Like, I want to be hot from the start so that we're not stressing on the back end of the schedule whenever we face really tough teams. I know nobody wants to talk about RPI, but I would really like to come off to a hot start at the beginning of the season. That way our RPI stays high and we don't give the committee a decision to where they're like, oh, do they get in, do they not get in? I really want to come off to a hot start, get as high as we can, try to get ranked. I think if we do really well the next couple of weeks, we're sniffing that top 25. And I really want to come out to a hot start, just the way if the back end is more of a struggle, that we're not giving the committee a decision to think, oh, do we get them in? Do we not get them in? And like you said, like our fielding percentage is not 82. So we're getting better defensively. Missouri State, we struggled defensively with the errors opening weekend out. That was way too many errors that weekend. Then we go on a 5-game stretch of 0 errors. That's telling me like we're making progress. We're doing the things we need to do. They're making the plays we absolutely need to make. And then we did get 2 errors last night, but clean it up, go this weekend with no errors, take 2, and just try to keep that win up and that RPI up.
And put the guys at the plate who are the toughest guys at the plate. No playing favorites. We got to have the guys out there that are going to put us in the best position. Jerry, I'll let you wrap it up, and then we got to move on.
Yeah, no, Mike, I'm glad you brought that up about the committee. That's what was so frustrating about the loss to Missouri State, where we blew the 7-run lead, because in our group text, you guys remember, that was what I was more frustrated about. Yes, I was furious that we gave up a 7-run lead in the 8th, but it's those type of losses in the past that have come back to haunt us on like Memorial Day weekend, right? Or teams. There's other teams that have been left out because of a loss like that when you're on that borderline. Luckily, we've made up for it since then by sweeping Maryland and sweeping Kansas State, but also too about our hitting. We talk about our bats, they're struggling a little bit. We are getting some hard outs. I feel like we're getting some hard outs. Last night, we hit a bunch of line drives to guys. There were a few plays that the Kansas State infield made, and that could have been like extra base hits. I think that's going to fall eventually, guys. I think there's going to be some guys that are just, as the more at bats they get, it's eventually going to fall. I just hope it's sooner than later. I don't want to have to keep finding ways to win on pitching and defense all the time, even though I'd love to, just because pitching and defense is not always going to be on. I think hitting wise, we're going to get the ball in play when we need to. It's going to come. It's just a matter of when.
All right, guys, let's move on because we do host UC San Diego. I think the Tritons, if I'm not mistaken. You'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, Cole. But I want to remind everybody what Ron Burgundy schooled us about San Diego. Hold on 1 second. I screwed that up. Let me try this again. All right, we got to get Ron Burgundy on here because he told us all about San Diego, and we can't miss this. Go ahead, Ron.
San Diego, which of course in German means a whale's vagina.
So thank you, Ron, for schooling us on San Diego and the meaning of the city. Let's look at UC San Diego coming into the ball game with a 3-4 overall record. They opened their season at number 1 ranked UCLA. They lost 2 out of 3, but were competitive through all 3 of those games. Lost 8-4 on Friday night, lost 7-2 on Saturday, and then got the win 8-7 on Sunday. They had a couple of games rained out in the Tony Gwynn Legacy Tournament, but they did end up playing Creighton and getting the win 8-7. They played BYU, lost to them 9-7, and then Western Michigan, another loss for the Tritons, 5-2. And then in extra innings on Tuesday, they got an 8-7 win over their rival, the University of San Diego, not to be confused with UC San Diego, which still confuses me. I'll turn it over to KG. KG, tell us about the Tritons coming in this weekend.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and start with their pitching. Friday, I'm expecting them to throw number 27, Still Murdoch. No wins, no losses on the season. He has been tabbed the ace of the staff, at least by D1Baseball.com as well. Going into this game though, or this weekend, I should say, he has a 7.71 ERA, a 2.29 WHIP, which is really high. Has only thrown 7 innings, given up 9 hits, 6 earned runs, 7 walks, and 9 strikeouts. So a very shaky start to their Friday guy. And what's weird about this the starting rotation is that the more you go down the line, the better their numbers actually get. And what I mean by that is I'm going to go ahead and jump to Saturday. Saturday, we're expected to see number 38, Nick Gregson. He does have an 0-2 record to this point, but he does have a 5.79 ERA, a 1.29 WHIP, which is respectable. 9.1 innings pitched, 10 hits given up, 6 earned runs, 2 walks, and 12 strikeouts. So you can see right there just from the walk to strikeout ratio, 2 walks, 12 strikeouts. He's filling up the zone much better than Still Murdoch has to this point. And then Sunday, you're projected to see number 20, Austin Bowker. Also has no wins, no losses, but he does have a 0 ERA, a 1.07 WHIP, which is pretty dang good. Only 4.2 innings pitched, though, giving up 3 hits, no earned runs, 2 walks, and 2 strikeouts to this point. So that's what I'm projecting to see on the mound for them this weekend. Now, you guys know I love to do comparison stats, and I think a lot of our fans appreciate that as well. So let me run through the major pitching stats and compare them to what we see with the Cajuns this far. So as a team, the Tritons have a 6.39 ERA. In comparison, your Cajuns have gotten their ERA down to 4.05. Team whip for the Tritons is a 1.69. The Cajuns, 1.19. So about a 0.5 better for the Cajuns. The Tritons have given up 74 hits to this point. The Cajuns have only given up 69. 44 earned runs for the Tritons, 41 earned runs for the Cajuns. 31 walks allowed for the Tritons, 39 walks for the Cajuns. So the Tritons do have us beat there by about 8 walks. Here's the biggest difference, though, boys, and I think it's going to make a big difference this weekend. The Tritons have only struck out 57 on the year. The Cajuns have struck out 99 to this point, which is really dang good. And lastly, and I think this is a very telling stat, the Tritons, they are allowing a 0.298 batting average against. The Cajuns are only allowing 0.212, which is really, really, really good for this bullpen. So, Mike and Jerry, I'm going to turn it over to you. Let's kind of talk about what we expect to see from their pitching staff, and then I'll give you a rundown of their offensive lineup.
Yeah, like you said, Big West Conference. As a conference, they're sitting 7th in RPI. Their pitchers, Nick Gregson, 5.79. They do have a lot of strikeouts. Gregson, 12 strikeouts. Reaux, 7 Ks. Murdoch, 9 Ks. And then also Devin King, he has a 6 innings, 0 ERA with 7 Ks. So that might be a type of guy we might have to watch. We might see on Friday if the game's close. So their ERA, is definitely a little high, but they're also striking out a lot of batters. They top heavy. They do have some relievers that are struggling, but their middle relievers look like they might be pretty good. Projected 6th in the Big West. They have 6 starters returning, juniors and seniors, so they're going to be a little older classmen coming in. Murdoch, he was a Cape Cod All-Star. So this is a guy that he has touched 98, but we might see a mid-90s type of guy. So he did get touched up against UCLA. He only went 2 innings against them. But it's UCLA. It's the number 1 team in the nation. So he did get touched up. Gregson probably going to sit at 92, 94 with 3 different types of pitches. So their guys, the Murdoch kid, his next outing, he did go 4 innings against Creighton, giving up 7 hits. So he was obviously getting better as it goes, but they're extremely early in their season. They're still trying to settle in, but they're fielding 974 versus 982. So obviously we might have the upper hand defense. I don't think it's going to come down to defense between those two. They do have just an older classman. I think that it's going to be top heavy on the offensive side. They have Gabe Camacho batting .318. He's leading the team with 4 home runs, 10 RBIs. He's slugging .909. So their top 4 guys, the top of the guys we don't have to worry about, and then it drops off really big. A lot of their last 5 hitters are in the hundreds. but they're just settling in. So we might see a different type of hitters from them. Alex Leopard batting 286, Trevion Martinez 269, J.C. Allen batting 259. So they're top hitters. We're going to have to really control. I think if we really control their top hitters, I think we have a really good shot. Their ERA 6.39. So obviously, like, they're really the back end of the bullpen. They've given up some runs. I think if we get to their bullpen early, really early, I think we're going to have an immediate upper hand against this team. They give up a lot of hits. I just think we really have to attack their starters. They have high ERAs, but I really think we have the upper hand against this team. There's no reason we should take 2 from them.
Yeah, and I'm looking at their hitting. I mean, Gabe Camacho has 4 home runs on the season, so he's got some pop in his bat. And I look at the strikeouts as a team. They have 64 strikeouts so far this season, and only 2 out of 4 in stolen bases. They're not going to try to play small ball over at San Diego, and when they try, it doesn't always work out well for them. So that's just a couple of things that I noticed on the hitting side. But Jerry, I'll let you cap off your thoughts. Anything you wanted to add to that, or thoughts about the weekend, and we'll go back to KG?
Well, I think, like you said, I'm not going to say this is a must win, but this is one of those weekends where out of the last 2 weekend series we've had, this team obviously is not Missouri State, nor are they Maryland. As I look at their lineup, 5 of their batters are batting less than 170. I mean, that should be just our starting rotation should be licking their chops at that opportunity if they want to pad their stats. Now, I will say, every time we've played a California team or a team from the West Coast, and that includes San Jose State last year. I remember we played Loyola Marymount a few years ago, and of course we played UC Irvine a few times. They're fundamentally sound. So you gotta make sure that you force pressure on their infield, you force pressure on their defense to make plays, because a lot of times those California teams are very crisp fundamentally. So they're all going to play with a little bit of discipline. But if this team is hitting 201, if they're hitting 201 as a team, and their ERA is their starting weekend rotation is in the 6 and 7s of ERAs, we should be able to capitalize on that. I expect this weekend to be a weekend where our bats kind of pick it up a little bit. Maybe some guys that may be kind of in a slump or off to a slow start try their best to get on base. You know, like if you're going to play someone like Donnie LaSalle, I'd like to see Donnie LaSalle hit a double. I'd like to see him hit a hard ball to left center somewhere, you know, and that this is the opportunity to do it and kickstart some momentum for some of the batters. But pitching wise, I'm very optimistic from what I'm looking at, because it looks like they're struggling at the plate right now.
KG, turn back over to you. Any other thoughts? I know you touched on pitching. You want to comment on their hitters this season?
Yeah, actually, I'm going to run through the starting lineup real quick. I'm not going to give too many stats, but I do want to kind of go 1 through 9 and let y'all know who we're going to see. Behind the plate's going to be 23, Trevion Martinez, batting 269 and tied with the team lead with 7 hits. Mike touched on him a second ago. Their heavy hitter on the offense is first baseman number 34, Gabe Camacho, batting 318. Actually, let me put it this way, guys. He leads every major offensive category for this team, batting 318, tied on the team with 7 hits, leads the team 4 home runs, 10 RBIs, and a .571 on base percentage. So that is the guy that's going to make this offense go. Second base, you'll see number 4, Addison Klepsch. He's batting 167. Really tough start to the year. Shortstop number 2, Anthony Patestio, batting a .083. You want to talk about bad starts? That's about as bad as it gets. At third base, you're going to see number 25, J.C. Allen. He's hitting 259. In left field, you're going to see number 3, Alex Leopard. Mike talked about him a second ago. Got some good numbers, batting 286. And then you'll see in center field number 46, Michael Crossland, batting 125. In right field number 15, Nick Costello, batting 167. And at DH, you'll see number 21, Brian Bradshaw, batting 111. There is 5 guys on this team that is batting, what is it, man, under 200. So Mike, you were right on the nose. They got they got about 4 guys that, you know, hit roughly 250 and better. But then the bottom of their lineup is worse than under 200. But here's the weird thing, and I'm going to go through some stats real quick, and this is the one that kind of jumped out at me. Their on-base percentage is actually pretty good. So they're able to find ways. They're able to get on base in other ways, you know, not via the hit. And I'm gonna run through these stats real quick. These comparison stats. As a team, they're hitting 201. We're hitting 240. I mean, that's a big difference. Even with as bad as a start as some people claim that the Cajuns have had up to this point, they've only had 45 hits as a team. We've had 75. They have hit 8 home runs as a team. We've hit 6. Keep in mind, visiting teams don't really fare well when they try to hit the long ball at the tee. So I think that's actually not going to be as big as a difference as we think. RBIs, they fit 36 as a team. We fit 47. Slugging, they're slugging .353. We're slugging just under that at .351. Basically balanced and similar. On base percentage, .371 for the Tritons. We're averaging .333, so we're getting on base every third time. And then lastly, steals, and I think this will actually make the biggest difference. They only have 2 successful steals on the year. We have 13. So they're just not very good at moving base runners around when they do get on base. But guys, I'm going to cut to the chase with this. Y'all are claiming that the Cajuns need to get back on track with offense. This is the weekend to do it. And Mike, you hit the nail on the head, and I love what you said with attacking their starters, because you can absolutely do that with this ball club. You have some starters that are struggling across the board, and with the success that the Cajuns have had against Maryland and the success that the Cajuns have had against Kansas State, they're riding that high. If you think we're riding the high as fans, they're riding the high as players, especially players that were on last year's ball club and had to suffer through how bad that season went. So yeah, I expect the Cajuns to be hungry this weekend at home against, I'm going to be honest with you, a pretty pedestrian ball club, which if the Cajuns can handle their business, there's really no reason that we couldn't sweep. Now, it is baseball, and I will give them some leeway. I'm expecting at least 2 out of 3. And I'm always going to give them the grace to drop a game. But boys, on paper and momentum-wise, this could be a sweep opportunity for the Cajuns.
As my daddy would tell me playing baseball, man, we don't play that game in the scorebook. We play it on the field. So we don't play it on paper. That's what he said. We don't play it on paper. We play on the field. So you never know what could happen. But one thing that did stand out to me is that they've walked 44 times this season. We've walked 39. But this stat really caught my eye. They've struck out 64 times. We've struck out 99 so far this season. So they have patience at the plate. They're going to try to get our pitchers deep into the count. We'll see how we respond this weekend. No freebies. We can't do the freebies. I think if we play our game, we're going to be fine. I think we score a few more runs this weekend, but that is left to be determined. Mike, I'll let you give your final thoughts before we move on to basketball. As always, appreciate you for joining us, but any final thoughts this weekend? Anything we have to do against UC San Diego? Or are you feeling good going into the weekend?
What I will say is don't play really well against really good opponents, and then don't play bad against lower level opponents. Don't sink to their level. We swept against a Big Ten, and we took 2 from a Big 12. So and it's not a jab at UC San Diego, but if we put double-digit hits all weekend against Maryland, there's no reason we should be doing it this weekend. I think don't play really well against really good teams, and then don't play not so good against lower-level teams. So I expect us to really get at it. There's no reason we should not be sweeping this team. I think this is the perfect opportunity for guys to step up. We should – at minimum, man, we should be getting 2 to 3 home runs this weekend. I really want to see the long ball. I want to see balls driven into the gap. We hit a lot of singles and all that, but I really want to see power and dominance from top to bottom all weekend long.
And I want to see more than a solo home run. That is that's the Easter Bunny gift I'm asking for this Easter. Mike, as always, man, appreciate you coming on talking baseball with us. We hope you continue to do this throughout the rest of the season. We'll have you on if you'll have us. But yeah, man, we'll see you this weekend, and we'll talk maybe Sunday if you're around.
Will do. Appreciate it, guys.
All right, brother. Good seeing you. All right, let's switch gears to basketball season. The Cajuns are still doing their thing. They're still trying to get things going. We got Ryan Landry up in the house, and we also have a special guest, Mr. Brad Boyd, joining us this evening. Very excited to see Brad able to make it. I know, Brad, you are super busy with your team and practice and all this stuff going on, but man, we are thrilled to have you on. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing great, man. I appreciate you having me. I won't get carried away. I'm not that busy, you know what I'm saying? I can always make a little time for Rage and Review. And was that the Cajun word of the day guy? Is he? it's like I recognize his voice or something, man.
Yeah.
Oh, that is him. Yeah, I was like, man, dude, I've been hearing this voice on social media over the last couple of months. And I was like, yeah, it sounds so familiar. Now I see him. Yeah, what's up, my man?
What up, B? Good to see you, man. Thank you for joining us tonight, bro.
Yes, sir. Thank you, bro.
Yeah, that is our celebrity, man. He won't admit it,
cool.
but he's kind of a big deal. Brad, I appreciate you joining us. Let's talk about, before we get into the current season and what the current basketball team's doing at UL, I do want to kind of touch on your career path right now. You've always wanted to be a coach, and specifically, I think it's I don't think it's hidden. You want to be the coach at UL one day. We'd love to have you as a coach at UL one day. You know, hopefully very long down the line, Coach Q is going to have a very long career and be very successful here. But one day you want to coach here. But let's talk about your career. You're currently a boys basketball coach over at Lafayette Renaissance Academy, if I'm saying that correctly. And you got them to their first ever playoff appearance last year. Talk a little bit about your journey there, and then also about taking over as coach at LRCA.
Yeah, man. Yeah, appreciate it, man. You kind of touched on a few of those different things, but over at LRCA, man, Lafayette Renaissance Charter Academy. That's why we abbreviated LRCA. It's way too long to keep saying over and over and over again, but really great school. Admin really pushes athletics and academics as well, and just give me an opportunity to take over a basketball program that was really new to the LHSA and playoffs. The first year I got there last year was actually the first year they were eligible to, make the playoffs, which we did. Went to the quarterfinals, played the number 1 seed Calvary Baptist, who was really good. And then kind of piggyback off of that year, said, hey, look, let's have a better year this year. So we've positioned ourselves this year a little bit better. We're the 5th seed. We're going to get a bye in the first round of the playoffs this year. Big game at LCA tomorrow night. LCA hosts Pope John Paul. The winner will play us on the following Tuesday. So it's a district rivalry of ours. Just a big, it's going to be a great, we're really hoping that LCA wins. No disrespect, like I heard the guy say earlier, to any of the other teams, but you just want a big time playoff game. Not that saying Pope John Paul wouldn't bring a lot of people to the game, but LCA, LRCA, it's just meant for a great environment, a great high school basketball game. So that's where we're at in the season. It's the playoffs, man. Everybody's 0-0, and you got to really lock in. We've had a long break from our last game until when we actually play on Tuesday. So just to keep the kids' mindset going through Mardi Gras and all those other things, and just back to practice, which a lot of kids hate to practice. They want to play just in the games, So we kind of took a kind of training camp kind of method for the last few days of practice, get back to defensive stuff, a lot of skills and drills. And then tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday, we'll hone in on what we really kind of want to do for that, knowing who will get to play on Saturday after the game Friday night. So all things are going well at the school, and just really trying to keep it all together for this big playoff game come Tuesday.
Well, the fact that you were able to get them in the first year that you're head coach there is amazing, and then keeping that going through this year is pretty cool too. So congratulations there, and we wish you guys a lot of luck. I do want to put you on the spot on an LHSAA thing, and look, you can say no comment if you don't want to put it out there.
Yeah, it's fine.
But they did have a couple of votes today. One of them failed. It was a one-time transfer proposal where a 9th, 10th, or 11th grade student athlete could do a one-time transfer option. Are you glad that failed, or do you think that would have hurt the sport, or do you think that would have been okay?
I'd have to have it see it hurt the sport before I could say, it's going to hurt the sport. But me being a former player in high school and just coached a bunch of kids that either have transferred away from my school or transferred into whatever school I happen to be at, and having to sit out a whole year and miss a whole year for a high school sport, I wish it would have passed. It not passing, I'm okay with it not passing as well, but I wish it would have passed. I've seen too many kids where a coach leaves, or a situation at the school where they just need to leave and go to a different school to get a fresh start, and then they have to also sit out a year of playing athletics. To me, that's just a little much. But when we're in the system, we're in the LHSA system, and we play in their system, you have to go with it, whatever the rules are, whatever the bylaws are, and stuff like that. So that's why they vote for it. The majority didn't want to do it. social media gets in an uproar of the principals don't care about the kids and this or that. Everybody has their own opinion, their own decision that they want to make for their school, and majority of the schools voted no for that. I am happy about the other one though, where the incoming freshmen.
That's what I was going to ask you. Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah. In case people don't know, ask the question so they can.
Yeah, I think it was something. I know it's involving incoming freshmen. Is it with the transfer to a different school, or what was the rule? Because it's
a school of choice, basically. If you're an 8th grader and then you choose in whatever 9th grade you want to go to, you can attend that school. And if you're good enough, you would be eligible to play, varsity sports and stuff like that. So a lot of the high schools are here, especially the bigger high schools, 5A, 4A, even 3A schools. It's hard to come in as a freshman and play on that varsity level, So it's really to, I guess, give kids maybe an opportunity. Some people act like it's such a big deal. Where if a kid really wants to go to a certain school because X, Y, and Z coaches are there, they should have that right too, because, they're really putting a lot of time and effort, investing a lot of time. The parents are on their kids, and, they just want what's best coming from the athletic side as well as the academic side. But if we're being real, the kids at a school spend, especially the ones that play sports, spend so much time with these coaches. You want to put your kid in the best situation with the best coaches that they think will get the job done for, not necessarily for my kid to go to college, but we're around the kids probably more than their English teacher, the principals at the school, anybody at the school. So you want somebody solid, especially across the board. If you're going to a school that you play multiple sports, that's just something that, I really think that with that transfer rule, you might go to a school, no disrespect to the coaches there, but you might not like the situation, or it might not be the right fit. Maybe you should tough it out and stick it out there. And those stories happen to work as well. But if you don't like it, I wish you would have been able to leave and go to a different school and not have to sit out.
Let's talk about a long time ago in a land far away when we were both students at UL. I think you were a freshman in 2002. Is that right?
2000, 2001, sophomore. I was a sophomore in 2002.
You were a sophomore then.
Yes,
okay.
Sir.
So we're about the same. Around the same time. You were a hell of a lot taller than me, brother, and a lot more athletic, but we were around the same time. Talk to us about your career at UL, some of the highlights that you had in the career and how that translated into you as a coach. Because I know, like I said, I've known of you for a very long time, and I've always known you wanted to be a coach at some point. Now we understand why. But talk about your career at UL, the coaches that you played under, the experiences you had, and the highlights in your career here.
Yeah, was very fortunate to play for Jesse Evans, was our head coach, and we had a number of guys coming in and out as the assistant coaches. But Jesse was a players coach that he brought in a lot of talent. A lot of guys like to play for Jesse, gave you a little freedom, and he was just a cool coach on and off the court. You could relate to him and talk to him, and I had a great 4 years of playing for Jesse Evans. I tell people all the time, man, highlights. You could check my Instagram. You're going to see all the highlights whenever we played basketball here. We post them all the time. But I really enjoy, man, knowing that when you guess I didn't put it on maybe airplane mode. It's my first time being on. Not first time. It's been a while since I've been on a podcast. Maybe I should have said my. I'm sorry. Going into the Cage Dome and playing home games, and there being thousands and thousands of people there, 5,000 plus. And when you got the conference games, 6, 7, 8,000, sometimes 9,000 fans, that was the time that we enjoyed the most as players, that that the game could be won without the fans, but with the fans, it was like a plus 10 points every home game. It's just a rowdy. One of the referees the other night said, man, it's getting loud in here. And he said, man, if we could just get a couple, maybe another 1,000 people in here, man, this place would go ballistic. And it's so true, which I think that's coming, man, with the next couple of years. It just got to be an exciting, keep the excitement going. Rough first year with the injuries and stuff like that. But that was my biggest thing with just playing in front of huge crowds and playing with good players. 25 years later, when some of the guys that we play with still come to the games, they'll come check out a game or whatnot. People are still remembering, I can list guys on and on, Brian Hamilton and Orion Green, Dwayne Mitchell, Larry Bridges. It was just a good 4 or 5 year run right there where people really still remember those fun times. Just because we played an exciting type of ball, which all relayed down from how Jesse Evans wanted to play. He used to tell us all the time, well, at Arizona, we did this and this. Well, we wanted to be Arizona. We wanted to be just like those dudes and try to win a lot of games and have a lot of fun playing. So breaking records and winning conference championships was awesome, and that's what people remember you for and stuff. But just being able to play in that Cajun Dome we never fully packed out. That's what I loved about Coach Q. Comes in and let's get 12,000 in the dome. I'm a big let's go for the top type of guy, so I really respected him when he said that. And first you get to 5, then you get to 10. You never know. It comes with winning. You stack some wins together. The team won 4 wins earlier in the year, and people were like, "Man, let's go, let's run, get behind them." And that's kind of how basketball works. But if I had to say the most memorable time, it's just playing in front of a lot of fans while inside that Cajun Dome, man, and just knowing that when you scored a bucket or a fast break dunk, that it was going to go crazy, and it just made us play at a higher level, knowing that those fans were behind us.
Man, those Western Kentucky game, that rivalry with Western, man, that was something special, especially kind of as it developed later. But enjoyed those. Enjoyed going back in time a little bit and seeing you in my head.
I can't
on
hear
the court.
you, man. I might have lost some volume.
You still there? Can you hear me now? I'm gonna keep talking just to see if Brad can hear us. All right. Well, let Brad get.
Okay, there you go.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah, I still can't hear you though. I can't hear anything. Sorry.
All right. Well, let's. Ryan, you want to text him and see if you can maybe help him with a little bit of tech there?
I think what he can do is he can log off and then log back on.
Yeah, just tell him log off, log back. I think he's doing that right now. RC, I was about to get into the last couple of games. Let's talk about, Texas State was a huge win for Louisiana. I mean, we were also impressed about you can hear me now?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I got you now. I couldn't hear you.
There you go.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Sometimes it happens, man. No problem. Let's talk about, well, first I'm going to take it back because I do want to get back to the last couple games, but I do want to take it back to this season. There was just some unfortunate things with Q coming in. I thought that the guys that he recruited are just the talent that's coming in is just unbelievable. You got to look at the roster he put together. I think we could probably use one big guy under the bucket, but outside of that, the talent on this team is phenomenal. We were the victim of a couple of injuries, just had another injury, just things kind of snowballed a little bit. And then Coach Q kind of has to learn how to be a head coach as well. He got thrown into the fire. You can be an assistant head coach at Houston, but until you're actually the man leading the program, it's a little bit tough. So talk to us about Coach Q. Did you have any prior interaction with them, and what do you think about the future of Cajuns basketball under Q?
I think it's going to be really good. I tell you this, I only knew Quantas prior to this for being a player at St. Aug, point guard that led his team to a championship. And then watching him at Oklahoma. I think I'm 2 years younger than Quantas, but I tell people all the time, because I'm a former player and a coach as well, the best coaches in the world to me are guys that are former players, and take that whatever way you want it. I just know because a guy like you that has played the game, he's the point guard, the leader of the team, then getting the experience for playing under Coach Sampson and coaching for Coach Sampson, it's only a matter of time whether he's just getting his feet wet being a head coach. He's actually technically been a head coach probably since his whole life ever playing the game of basketball and being a point guard or a player coach, if that makes sense, while he's on that floor, So I like it, man. It's an intense whether we win the games or lose the games. We all know the record this year. Everybody wants to win more games. Coach Q and them want to win more games, but that's just what it is right now. But if you came to those games and watched those games, the team plays at a high level. You talked about the injuries to the point guard. You get him all year. Everybody slides over to their more comfortable position. And we know what he was going to do. He was going to average 15 to 20 points a game. Finisher, look what he's doing. Alvera, look what he's doing. And you kind of get that three-headed monster that they probably were saying, if we get these guys lined up and, and if you really honest and watched a lot of the games, which we all do, we watch all the games, I like Troy, I like Arkansas State, and I'm not saying we can't beat those guys, but everybody else in the conference, man, we can beat those, especially, that's why I like going into Pensacola on a neutral floor, So I think the future is bright. We signed some really good kids from Louisiana. The kid out of Ash is really good. And I'm not mistaken, there's another guard out of Oklahoma that, anytime
he's like the number one recruit out of Oklahoma.
Yeah. I go straight to YouTube, check the highlights out, look at the kids, and both of those two that I just mentioned are really good players. You get the point guard back from Oklahoma State next year. It'd be lovely if we could get maybe another big here or there that could just be a little bit more presence, more of a shot blocker. It seems like the UL and the history of UL, the best teams that we've had over these eras had shot blockers. Southall was here and Sean Long was here. Before that, with Reggie Poole was here. I forgot the guy that played for Marlin a few years from South Carolina, or maybe Clemson. He came in. He was a high. He's only about 6'8", but man, he would block shots at the goal. So you just need I think maybe one or more guys that big guys that can come in, and which is, we all know the name of the game now is, man, it's so hard. It's not even really recruiting. It's a little recruiting, but you got to put together some serious funds to get the level of players that everybody really wants to win, because the people that want to win the most, they spending the most money, and that's just kind of how it's going, and it kind of trickles down to us in the mid-major level. But I'm excited for it, man. I love Coach Q. Anytime I get a chance, see him, his kids play in our bitty basketball program at Youngsville Middle. Youngsville Sports Complex. He's always there checking them out, and he talks to the people, man. That's what I love about him. Even, as any coach, you go into gyms and everybody knows you and your record might not be that good. You can go hide in the corner, or you can go around and still talk to people and be who you are. And that's what he's done. That's what I've seen him. So I like it. We just got to get some more wins next year, which I know they're going to work extremely hard to do that, bringing some new talent in to mix with the talent they have. But I still like our chances, man. It's one more game and then 0-0 and hitting that conference tournament. And we all know this. Our league is wide open. Yes, I think Arkansas State is really good, and Troy as well. Seeing them, up close and personal this year. But I don't be surprised if one of the other 14 or 15 teams wins the tournament.
We see that every year, man. Somebody who you expect to win bows out in the first game of the
seed.
Yeah, 8 seed comes out and wins it. Well, I love getting your perspective on that, man.
I look at it like this: if we can get to a Troy or a Arkansas State in the semifinals, which I really think that can end. Now, I guess it's out there that the Finister kid is not going to play, or he may not play for the conference tournament. We didn't see him play last night. That's a big blow. But, man, it's basketball. It's March Madness. Anything can happen. If you're a true Cajun fan, why not think it can be done? And that's kind of how I feel about it.
Exactly. And I'm going to watch every game, and I see some people in here talking about going to Pensacola. By the way, Josh called you OG White Reaux. We'll just leave it at that.
If that's a good thing, I'll take it, man. Or a bad thing, man. I enjoy, and I know Josh, but I like it. Anything to get a laugh, and I've heard it all before, So it just comes with the territory of playing basketball, having fun while you did it, which I did a lot, and just enjoying the game and enjoying the fan experience. So Josh has always got a joke or two to tell, so I'll take it.
Yeah, and I'm not going to ask you any questions, catch you off guard like they did Q asking about former coaches' wives on social media. So with that being said, RC,
I'm just glad to be back on Radio Review, man. Just let's keep it at that.
The smoke is settled, right?
Yes, I'm perfectly fine in the state I am. We wish everybody the best of luck wherever they're at. But we like what's going on over here at UL. I could just leave it at that. We're excited about Coach Q. And he's going to keep working every day. I know that just from seeing him from afar and seeing his interactions with the team and in the community already this first year. So it's only going to go up.
Man is a hustler. I love it.
Brett, I had a quick question. You've been to every game so far. You've seen the team with the injuries and things like that. How important, and I'm asking you this from a perspective of not only a coach, but to fans that really don't understand the recruiting side, especially in basketball, because it is a little different than what you're used to in football, for example, right? And different, whether it's in Louisiana or you go somewhere in Texas, Mississippi, Florida. Coach Q has been able to recruit nationally. He got Josh Lewis from Tampa, got 2 players from Tampa, I believe. I forgot what happened to him. I don't know if the other one's still here. He got a bunch of transfers and whatnot. When you look at things like the transfer portal and you see that there's a lot of talent to go around, what do you think the philosophy of Coach Q is? Obviously we can say, he's trying to get the best player, but based on his system that you see as a coach, from a coach's standpoint, what is he trying to build philosophically from what you're looking at? Because I know a lot of people say, well, at Houston, he wants to do what Coach Kelvin Sampson does, hardcore defense, kind of, a lot of times we've been seeing a lot of ISO this year offensively.
Yeah.
But from your perspective, what kind of philosophy is it? And is it a philosophy that similar to what you coach?
Yeah, it's definitely up tempo. I like the fact we do this a lot as well. On ball screens, he's trapping it, making the guards go far out into the picking the ball up and having to scramble out of the trap. I like that method. And he's, I mean, if you really watching the game, it's a constant switch up of things that they're doing on the defensive side. The offensive side, if I'm a guard, I'm getting recruited and I'm a guard and I can come in and play for a Coach Q knowing that they run kind of a lot of high ball system and coming off like Oliveira gets a lot of open threes. Laverne gets a lot of open threes. Even finisher out of the style of offense they play, a lot of drive and kick. And if you're a guard and you can get to the mid range and shoot like Laverne has done a lot, Oliveira has done a lot, and then if I can catch and shoot from the three, knowing that the other guards that I'm playing with are dishing when we drive to the goal and stuff. So I like the style and the intensity of the play. I really do. And you know, I mean, I don't know exactly all the philosophy. I try to keep up. I really at the game trying to study and pick up on stuff that they write in here. They're trying to execute throughout the game. So I know late in a lot of the games, the guard that's kind of hot is getting that ball last, and he's kind of an ISO deal, and it has a lot to do with switching and who ends up guarding who at the end of their kind of rotation at the top, and you know, so I mean, I like the style of play. Its intensity. It's only going to get better. We're just through. I say it all the time, and we want to win every game. Everybody does, as coaches, as the fans of our former school. Now we want to win all the games. It's just unlikely that that's going to happen every time. But just the intensity of the game, and these guys are just coming together this year. I know it's a whole season, and people say, "Well, man, if they're good basketball players, that's really not how it always works." I'd like to see the year 2 with the same 7 or 8 guys, or maybe possibly. I know with the portal year 3 with the same 7, 8, 9, 10 guys. Yes, a few may leave and come, but if we can maybe put that together, which is hard to do because, you know, if a player has a really good year, all the vultures, let them come over here and here's a couple extra whatever amount of dollars, and it's really hard. I think the bigger thing outside of the coaching is the GMing of the whole thing, the whole system, from the getting the kids here, then making sure they gel, then making sure they playing how the coaching staff wants them to play together. It's really easier said than done, you know. And with an injury here or there, I mean, the Lewis kid scores 27 in the game and gets hurt. We don't see him again. You know, I'll say it. Everybody says, you know, our associate going to be the best player on the team gets hurt after the first game. I mean, that's tough for any team to deal with, you know. So making those runs, man, that's what I say. Yes, the record wasn't that great, but winning 4 games in a row, people were like, let's go. And that's just, you know, I enjoyed, you know, that time. And like, this is what it's always supposed to be, win or loss. Just get behind the team, man. Come to the Cajun Dome. The experience is the good time. I know we can't do it again until next year, but I look forward to next year being more wins and more excitement.
And speaking of looking ahead, I want to go to URC. I know we had a couple of games, one really good game against Texas State, winning in Lafayette 67-54. Dropped the game to Troy 78-59 on Tuesday. I'll let you give your thoughts on you know, kind of how those 2 games went, just high level overview. And then let's talk about Arkansas State after that. What are you looking for out of the Cajuns against Arkansas State going into the tournament?
Yeah, well, the Texas State game, the first half, that was probably the best half of basketball we played all year. I think it was like 34-16 or something at halftime, and they kind of scratched and clawed back, you know, their way back into it, and we ended up, you know, kind of pulling away towards the end. But yeah, we you know, I've said it before, we pretty much match up with everybody in the conference except for Troy and Arkansas State. Now, Arkansas State, it was just that one guard that really put it on us. He was averaging 10, and I think he got 31. But, you know, you see the way that Troy plays, and you know, obviously we didn't have Finister. And that's, you know, we're going to have a tough time against Arkansas State as well. Lack of depth. You know, Finister's not going to play tomorrow night either. So, yeah, it's it all, to me, is going to come down to Darius hitting some 3-point shots like he's been doing, rebounding the ball, playing good defense, and taking advantage of the switching, not getting caught, you know, the extra pass, back screen, backdoor cuts like we've been kind of getting caught up with, and containing their Arkansas State's guard. I can't think of his name right now, but he's a good one.
So going into the tournament and assuming, I mean, I think it's out of the question now. We're going to have play-in games. We're not going to, make it to the bye, and there might be a 7-way tie for first place, which good luck trying to figure that out. But what do you guys, and I'll start with you, Brad, we talked about making a run in Pensacola and being an underdog. What does this team have to focus on and have to do right to be able to make that run through several games in Pensacola? It's going to be a tough run, but not saying they can't do it. It's an uphill battle. What do they need to do right?
Well, that's an easy one. What do they need to do right? Just score one
Score
more
more,
point
right.
than the other opponent. It's conference tournament, man. I said it before. It's March Madness. It's yes, it may be hard to do if they have to win. I don't know, what is it, 5 games in a row, 6 games in a row. I'm not sure. Whatever it is.
As of right now, that we be playing on the first day on Tuesday, so we'd have to win 7 games in 7 days. Now, with the way that it's all bunched up, we have the chance to play on Wednesday instead, but still, it's a foregone conclusion. We're either going to be playing Tuesday or Wednesday
with the last game. Yeah, so you're going to have to make your shots. It's going to sound cliche, but that's what the name of the game is. Even I tell my kids all the time, some of the losses that we had this year, we may have lost by 10 points, and you're like, oh, you lost by 10 points. It's really 2 or 3 shots that you've missed and 2 or 3 shots that they made, or even 6 or 7 free throws that you missed and 6 or 7 free throws that they made. So it's a really close gap. You just have to hit your open shots, play defense, team with the less mistakes, team that can steal the ball and turn the other team over a little more, and normally the team that makes a few more 3-pointers than the other team. We really, when you mentioned Darius's name, man, I was really happy for that kid being a senior. Starting off the year, of course, everybody's down and out because we're losing a game here and there. But you could tell he was a shooter. Another guy looked when they signed him, looked at his film, and he was shooting the ball. Okay, he's a shooter, and he was hitting about 1-3 a game. And then over the last, 8 to 10 games, he was hitting 3 and 4 3-pointers. It made that defense, whoever we were playing against, when they doubled on Finister or Oliveira and we kicked it back to the 4-man, he was knocking them down, man. And just to be a senior, man, we sit on the court, as you guys know, and get to interact with the players a lot more than there's the fans in the crowd, which is exciting in its own right. But just to see the excitement on his face when he would knock big shots down, and he was a big part of winning those 4 games in a row. So I was happy for him, his experience. Once again, going back to, this is our school. This is what we love about our school. Him having somewhat, even though it was a down season win-loss record, but him having some success. The crowds were loud when we were on that 4-game winning streak, and him being able to knock some shots down in the Cajun Dome. That's kind of, it's just, I was happy when you brought his name up, because he really had a solid end of that last year throughout the regular season. So, but anything can be done, man. You have to play the game. My dad, we were always big underdogs in our house growing up, and going into the conference tournament, we're going to be the underdog. But neutral court and what I've seen in the Cajun Dome, I think even the teams that have beaten us throughout the conference season, we can definitely beat those teams on a neutral court and definitely make a little run. If we can just get to the semifinals, you never know. A team that's been sitting there for 4 days or whatever, and not playing a team that everybody says, yes, we may get tired, but look, those guys are young athletes, man. I mean, I know when I played, it may be crazy to hear, but man, we hardly ever really got tired. Now 7 games in 7 days, that's a lot, but play the game, get something to eat, rest, wake up the next day, try to do it again. Who wouldn't love that opportunity? I know those kids know, because it's a big deal. It's no guarantee. You said the 8th seed last year won the tournament, so if we play on Wednesday, we might be right in there from the 10 to 8 seed, and maybe it's our time this year to go dance. And crazier things have happened. You see it all the time. Teams that are 15 and 20 go win the conference tournament, go to the dance. So you got to kind of just believe as a team, not think, oh, we're missing Dorian or we're a little shorthanded. Just step up and make the shot when you get the chance to make it, and play for the team, and you never know. So I'm just excited, man. It's a new year with everything. And, I think in the years to come, it's going to get greater. And we're going to be sitting here maybe next year talking about, okay, now we don't play till Thursday. I really believe that getting those guys back a little healthier next year, bringing in those new recruits. So it's always go Cajuns with me. And just it's going to be a tough task depending where we fall. But crazier things have happened. So let's just play the games. I like an idea. I might go to Pensacola too. It's only like a 5-hour drive. Make a couple days out of it. Maybe cheer the Cajuns on, bring them some luck.
And you got the beach. You go to the beach when the Cajuns
And
aren't playing.
there you go. I mean,
Yeah,
who doesn't
'cause
want to do that? You know.
85 freaking degrees outside in February, but whatever.
Yeah.
I do have to go back on one of your comments. You talking about young guys, being able to, they're conditioned and it's easier for them. Man, we about the same age. Is it just me, or do you get just random pains that just hurt somewhere one day and you're like, is this a heart attack or heartburn? I mean, one day my spleen's hurting and then it goes away. It's getting old, Brad.
You're absolutely right, man. In my mind, I'm still 20 something years old. I sneezed the other day and pulled something in my back, my upper back. I was getting out of the car and I sneezed and I was like, oh my God. And then, but it's right. No, I hate to think that we're getting old, but yeah, we're getting old. I think we're all kind of 40 or above now in this group right here. But yeah, you're absolutely right, man. People ask me, you still play basketball all the time? I said, no, man, I don't do any running unless it's cardio on a little treadmill, but I do shoot a lot. I can still shoot with the best of them, so the wrist is real. It's skinny, man. I haven't gained much weight in the wrist, but yes, you're right, man. Just getting old and trying to move at the same pace as we did 20 years ago and thinking that we're still big and bad and athletes, it'll cost you. You got to watch your step. Don't twist the ankle, twist the knee or anything like that, so.
You need to hit up Reds. They got a bunch of 50 and 60-year-olds running up and down the court. I mean, if they can do it, Brad, you still got it, man.
No, I mean, I definitely, I gave up playing basketball, like, what am I, 44? So maybe about 8 years ago. I was 36, 37 maybe years old. I'm going back to the same places I played since I've been in Lafayette, Girard Park, or even Reds. And there was always some young kid that wanted to pick me up full court and guard me in my face, like trying to shut me down at the rec league. Man. And I'm like, bro, I have played 9,000 basketball games at Girard Park. Just let me run up the court a little bit. Let me. So it just got to like, I really couldn't go at a full speed no more. So just kind of like that competitive side was like, I don't really, need to prove anything to anybody playing pickup ball. But so it's been about probably 10 years since I've run up and down and shot a ball or really kind of played any competitive basketball. But I work at a school, every PE class. I think if there's 300 boys at our school, everyone has said, hey, coach, man, let's shoot the 3 or 4. And I'm 300-0 at the school. You know what I'm saying? Nobody at the school, even the coaches, Andre Gobert, he's probably watching. Trev Falk, he knows he's not going to shoot that many basketballs in the gym or compete with me on that level. We do have a faculty student game that gets kind of interesting. We have a couple former UL football players that coach on the staff over there, and those guys, they go crazy. They're trying to dunk and do, and I'm like, man, y'all gonna, and they're us 10 and 15 years ago thinking that they're 25, 30 that they can still, and they do, but I think I'll coach the student teacher game, and everybody's like, coach, you got to play, but I know if I go play, I can only go one speed, and I'm probably gonna get hurt. So I'm trying to stay uninjured.
Hey, Brad, you said your record was 300-0.
Yeah, 300. Well, again, shooting in the three, because there was 300 kids at the school, and throughout the days, everybody wants. Let's coach. If I make this $5, or if I make this, buy me lunch. So I always take the bet, and I'm about 300-0. Up to this day. You
think you could beat 301-0 if you were playing Kenny Demichet?
Oh, Kenny. It depends what the stakes are. My daddy was a big time golfer. My daddy loved the horse races. So I come from a background. If we're betting $1, I am hard to beat. Now, if we're betting serious money, I like my chances, man, because, I would say I was built for those moments, man, to not get nervous. And when money on the line, I see my dad plenty of times make some long putts and chip in some shots over there at Indian Hills Country Club back in the day. People used to ask me all the time, how do you just can, you shoot and you shoot from far, this and that. I said, man, I watched my dad play golf all the time. And his nerves were he had no nerves, whether it was putting for $100 or $1,000. He just was cool, calm, and collective. And he liked to go for what they call the gusto. That was one of his quotes growing up, man. If you're going to go for it, go for the gusto. So I like the big moments, the big shots, and kind of got that with him. So Kenny doesn't stand a chance, man. Especially when we're shooting in a college regulation gym. He hadn't had much experience, shooting in big arenas. He's more of a, smaller high school gym type of shooter, So, but either way, in a big gym or in a small gym, I mean, I like my chances against that cat.
Well, you know we're gonna clip this and tag him on Facebook.
Yes, we got to. It's only right. It's going to help him out, man. He gets a lot of clicks and a lot of likes on his stuff. So, shout out to Kenny Dubichet. I joke with him all the time. You know, we're both from Opelousas. Both were. I was a really good high school player. Kenny was all right. You know what I'm saying? He was okay. You know.
Sounds like the crying towel going on right now. Hey, but by the way, what I really want to see, and maybe Rage and Review can make this happen. And I'm moving back to Louisiana, so the winner gets a brisket. I've learned how to smoke a brisket in Texas, brother. So
I'll take it.
Whoever wins, their family can come over and I'll smoke a brisket. But I want to see you and DeBoot in a halftime one-on-one on the court at UL, bruh. That would be awesome.
That would be a good matchup.
If it's brisket or if it's like we said, $20, he stands no chance because brisket is my thing, man. So I'm not gonna let him win that for sure. Food or money, man. I'm winning the bet. I guarantee you.
Brad's gonna be in the gym till like 8 o'clock at night when the lights are out, just practicing because he wants that brisket.
Hey, you know what's funny? I got a few years ago I got selected to shoot the free throws or whatnot at halftime, and I was really thought to myself about that. I said, man, I wish they would have told me ahead of time. I would have went and like tried to really practice doing it, but it ended up working out. Ended up making a bunch of free throws, and I forgot what it was. Won the competition, but I definitely. If I know there's something brisket on the line, and a few days in advance, I'm getting some extra shots up throughout the day for sure.
We'll make it happen, man. Well, look, Coach Brad, I appreciate you joining us tonight, brother. I appreciate you taking the time. We'll have you on anytime. So if you have some free time, come on, talk some basketball. We'll talk about the tournament, whatever you want, and especially if you're in Pensacola. You know, we'll invite you on, and you can give us a live shot from there. So we'd love to have you on.
I appreciate y'all having me on. Appreciate you guys. Y'all make it fun, man. You know, and that's what it's about, man. Talking about the sports, loving from you guys love the y'all love all the sports at our school. So I, former player, fan now of the school still, and fan of the basketball program. Appreciate all the insight and just wanting the best for what everybody else wants. Wants wins, wants to see good players play in that Cajun Dome, and I appreciate y'all having me on, speaking about it tonight. Y'all have a good one.
All right, brother. Thanks again.
Thanks.
Take
Brad.
care. All right, let's bring in KG. You really got a kick out of his comment about what was the guy's name? I want to say Dumatre, but I know that's not right. Cole was sitting in the background, like laughing, throwing his hands up. What was that all about, KG?
If you are up to date with I'm not going to call it beef. It's just a back and forth. I'm sure they know each other personally, obviously, but like, if you're up to date on the Facebook stuff going on with the trash talking between Brad and Kenny, RC, when you asked him about him, I about lost it in the background. I thought that's hilarious to me.
That's and Kenny's my boy too. So seeing them going back and forth, it's always a good time. So I always got to, kind of stoke the fire a little bit between them.
Yeah, you like doing that, RC. I know how you roll, brother.
You ain't nothing if not a shit stirrer, pod. I can confirm.
That's right.
Oh, shit. Well, we're running way over, but we still got to give some love to our Cajun softball team. So, Cole, and by the way, RC, don't go anywhere because we got a lot of stuff to discuss with you in a bit. KG, talk to us about softball. Wrap up what they've done in the last few games, and then looking ahead towards the upcoming weekend.
Yeah, softball real quick, but I also want to say one more thing, and Brad pointed this out. We love all sports here. Shout out to the men's and women's track team, finishing second place in the Sun Belt meet. Great job, men and women, with that. I wanted to make sure I showed them some love. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I read a headline somewhere that the men's tennis team is ranked now in the top 25. So if I read that correctly, a huge shout out to men's tennis. I don't play tennis myself, but at the end of the day, anybody that represents the Cajuns, we want to make sure we give love to. Now,
by the way, before you get, I'm badass at Wii tennis. Wii tennis, bro. I still pull that out. I can kick anybody's ass at Wii tennis. I'm not gonna lie. I got tennis elbow from playing Wii tennis. That's how intense I was with it. All right, go ahead, KG.
You're only good at Wii tennis because you ain't got to move.
You are so right. You are so right. You ain't lying.
That boy got Brad's skinny wrist.
He got the skinny wrist.
I'm sitting down just doing like this, ball. We good. Sorry, KG, go ahead.
No, y'all are good, man. Like I said, I wanted to give some love to our programs. But yeah, softball, let's talk about it. 11-6 overall. A grueling, there goes Jerry. A grueling 7-game weekend. They went 5-2 though. Let's recap it. Friday, first game, they beat Howard 4-0. Then they follow that up with beating Michigan State 6-1. On Saturday, they beat Howard again 6-3, followed that up with a 10-inning loss to LSU 2-1. That was a very exciting game. Honestly, listen, we talk about TSAB in a poor way most of the time. That was a really, really fun softball game to watch. We actually spent most of the Section 8 tailgate after the blowout win against Maryland, and we spent most of the tailgate on our cell phones, listening to the game, watching the game. There was really, the Cajuns lost on the scoreboard, but honestly, nobody lost that game. That was just two good programs going at it. Continuing though, Sunday, they were able to take down Missouri 9-1 in 6 innings. A big-time SEC win there. But they did turn around and lose to Houston 10-0 in 6 innings. So you kind of rode that high against beating an SEC school and turn around and lost to Houston. But on Tuesday, they come back home and they beat Northern Iowa 10-2 in 6 innings. Like I said, capping off a 5-2 week. Shout-outs of the week. Again, gotta show love to our freshman Haley Hart, consistently leading the team in hits with 21, home runs with 4, and RBIs with 17. She has constantly delivered multi-hit games up to this point, including against LSU, where she hit a triple in that game. Another shout out I want to give on the offensive side is junior Mia Lascano. Currently leads the team in batting average with 447 and steals with 8. Speaking of her steals, she's perfect on the year in steals. She's 8 of 8, and she's really been a vacuum with some great defense in the middle infield. Pitching wise though, first I got to give 2 shout outs. First off, Sage Hoover, who threw against LSU. Listen to this line: 9.2 innings pitched. Keep in mind this is softball, not baseball. 9.2 innings pitched, 10 hits, 2 earned runs, 5 walks, 6 strikeouts. She threw 172 pitches in that ball game.
Jay Johnson would throw a baseball pitcher that in one game.
And it was unfortunate in the way they lost because, unfortunately they had a runner on first base. She gives up a double over the right fielder's head, and LSU was able to score from first base to seal the victory. But secondly, got to show some love to a name that I haven't said this year yet. Senior Bethany Noble, the Sun Belt pitcher of the week. She went 2-0 on the weekend, had a save as well, and she only had a .47 ERA on the weekend. She currently leads the team in ERA with a .35 ERA. And she has 3 wins as well. This week they play a doubleheader on Friday. They play St. Mary's and Texas A&M. I believe it's called the Texas A&M Invitational. So they'll be going to College Station. But like I said, Friday they're playing a doubleheader. Saturday they also play a doubleheader against Kennesaw State and St. Mary's. And then Sunday they'll wrap it up with Texas A&M. And I do not believe they have any midweek games next week. So they get a week off to kind of regroup and take a break. As I mentioned, they're going on 12 games in, maybe 9 days or something crazy like that. So they're going through a gauntlet right now, another tournament with another couple of doubleheaders. But all in all, like I said, 11-6 overall. The Cajuns are playing well. Seems like some pitchers are emerging. Offense is staying consistent. They've been producing up to this point. So really excited what they can do against a talented A&M team and in another tournament.
I'm excited to see what they bring to the Sun Belt this year. Look, they're good. They're playing some really tough teams. You have the Florida State loss that was kind of a blowout. The UH thing, they dropped a game to Prairie View. Like you're going to see that as this team matures and they learn how to play together. But I'm excited about what the season brings, especially getting into the conference season. So appreciate that rundown, my boy KG. Let's get into a couple of other things before we close it out with the Grammys. First, Ramesh is now going to be named the president of UL. And I think all of us kind of figured that was going to happen. That was no hidden secret, but they, of course, had to go through the process that is deserved of any president at the university level. I assume he got through with flying colors. And some of the decisions he's making as far as selling some of the university property to close the gap. We made some pretty bad deals as far as even last year made some pretty bad deals as far as it comes to real estate. Good to see Ramesh making some changes there, doing what has to be done, making some necessary difficult cuts, but also not undervaluing what UL is worth and what property is worth, and for the long-term viability of the university, making the right decisions. Jerry, I think this is a home run hire. Thoughts about Ramesh? Hopefully we can get him on one day to talk to us.
Yo, no doubt about it. And I'm gonna try my best to make that happen. You know, Ramesh is the perfect fit as president. You know, he came to, I think he came to UL, I believe, in 1992. He is from India, I believe, and he's adopted this city as his home, just like the rest of us have. And he's somebody that really cares about this community. He's somebody that's been offered better opportunities at bigger schools, and he's turned them down to stay here because he sees the potential here. I had the chance to listen to his interview with the Louisiana University of Louisiana System Board the other day when they were doing the interview with the three finalists, and I'll just give you some notes on what I heard that really gave me some optimism under his leadership. First of all, he's going to be officially the seventh president in school history. He has a 10-year plan, guys. Part of that is increasing enrollment to 22,000 by the end of this decade, but then increasing that to 27,000 or 27,500 students in 2035, 2036. Now, just to give you a point of reference, we currently are at 16,100. So he's going to try to get that up to 27,000 by 2036 or 2035. And he said one thing he wants to do, and it kind of stuck out because we talk about this. He wants the UL Alumni Association to create relationships with students when they arrive to UL rather than when they leave. Now, we've been talking about this for years to create that relationship while students are currently enrolled instead of just saying, hey, now that you graduated, give us some money, support us. So he wants to create that interpersonal relationship with those type of organizations rather than just when we walk off the stage, to kind of make it interpersonal to where it makes you want to give when you're leaving because you already have that relationship with them. One other thing he said is the impact that the university has on the state of Louisiana, $4.4 billion. UL brings $2.7 billion locally to the Lafayette area, and that's only based on 16,100 students. He said, just imagine if we had 27,500 students or 28,000 students, what type of financial impact and economic impact that can bring. And he also says, right now, we're currently at a $250 million research program that got us a Carnegie R1. He wants to double that to $500 million in research over the next 10 years. He says we must increase graduate and doctoral programs. Right now, we're currently at around 73 students that are studying to get their PhD. He wants to increase that to anywhere from 100 to 110 students by the end of the decade to remain that Carnegie R1 status. He also wants to become a top 75 public research university in the country in a decade from now. Right now, we're currently at number 94 in public research universities. The National Science Foundation has us ranked at 194. He wants to get us much higher than that. And then one other thing he wants to do is say the UL Foundation is currently at $250 million. He wants to increase the UL Foundation amount of money to $350 million by the end of the decade and $500 million in 2035, 2036. Athletically, Jake Delhomme actually asked him this question because Jake Delhomme's on the search committee, asking what can you do for athletics and how do you handle the financials? And basically, his answer was simple. Ramesh understands that there's a $30 million difference in what we bring in revenue and what we spend. He says he wants to optimize cost while generating revenues, and he wants to make sure that spending is aligned on where we need to be athletically while generating that revenue. He says now that we have Pacquiao and the ticketing is in our control, want to focus on building those relationships with fans rather than being transactional like we had with the Cajun Dome. And he said that specifically about the Cajun Dome. As far as revenue generation, he said, if we build a $65 million stadium, we need to use it more than just 6 times out the year for UL home games. He wants to find ways to maybe bring in certain events like soccer events as well as concerts to use Cajun Field. Cole, you brought up a good point. You know, how can you have a concert with the current configuration? My guess is with the East Side projects that they're probably going to try to do something to allow equipment to go on the field for concerts, because he did say, economically speaking, that can be a huge impact, not just on the university, but the community. I mean, if you bring in a big concert act and you can get 35,000 to 40,000 people in there, that just doesn't help this UL. That helps the entire community in the entire region through tourism and whatnot. So he does have some good ideas. Right now, he's got a lot of steps he needs to work on, but the first step is him becoming the permanent president tomorrow, and he's going to be a good one. So really excited, love the vision, and this university is about to really take off under his leadership.
Yeah, and Ramesh is not the kind of guy who's just going to sit there and bullshit you. He's a guy who knows his stuff. If it weren't for him, we wouldn't be R1, and I know that's his baby and something that he's going to be super focused on, and really excited to hear about the enrollment thing. There's no way we should still be getting the enrollment numbers that we did when I was a student. That's kind of embarrassing.
It's lower.
Yeah.
It's lower than we were students. We were
That-
at 17, 18 when I was there.
Absolutely ridiculous. So appreciate him coming out there and appreciate you coming out there and being public with it about his intentions and transparency. I think with this administration will be great. So super excited to see Ramesh. Thank you for listening to that and putting those notes together. I think we have better days ahead, but we got to get through the rainstorm first. Let's talk about, I'm going to go back to baseball a little bit. I'll start with you, RC. I know you have some comments you want to make about baseball, but I do want to ask, atmosphere at the Teague. I know there was some feedback in the last couple of weeks about the music not being timed up right, not having the right stuff. There was, the computer was broken. I'm listening, obviously, from a perspective of listening over TV or radio, and it sounds like they're kind of starting to get it right. I know Sean's been working with his team on that. Your thoughts on the atmosphere and anything else baseball-wise you weren't able to chime in on earlier?
180-degree difference, man. 180-degree difference from the first weekend. I know we, we kind of touched on it, and I guess that was after the Missouri State series, and it was like, just something missing. They weren't playing the right songs, or they weren't playing center field on time, and just the sound effects that were missing. The music was not very good, and this past weekend was a total difference. And I guess a microphone cord or a computer cord that they were missing. I don't know what they said it was, but whoever is that, Sean that's doing the music, you said?
Yeah, I think he's kind of coordinating it. There's another guy doing the music, but Sean's there trying to direct him the right way.
No, they seem like they're back on top of their game, and I think that they're only going to get better once they get a better feel of everything. But the crowd on Friday, can't say enough about that. With the closer coming in, and he could barely hear. And it was a half-packed stadium. People had left, and the fans definitely played their part, and the players definitely lived up to their end as well. But I think that this Friday will finally be kind of like what we've been used to out of Friday nights at the Teague, because of how we've won 7 in a row, how the way that we are playing defense and we're pitching well. Baseball's a funky game, man. It's a beautiful game, but it's funky. And as long as you score one more run than the other team, I'm happy. But I do hope that our pitching can hold up long enough to where our bats come around and we can start making some noise with that. But no, all in all, last weekend was great. Tuesday and Wednesday were great as well. And I think Friday is going to be even better.
Does Doug even pay attention at the games? They play this song every game, bro.
Yeah, they played it at least the past five games.
What is he doing up there? Well, I actually don't want to know what he's doing up there. But good to hear the atmosphere is kind of making a 180. I know some people have made some comments earlier. My brother he's in charge of chewing their asses out when they're not getting it right. So it's good to see that they're getting it right up there. I am excited to say that the Sun Belt Conference is going to 4 umpires this year. Finally, again, for baseball, which I've been embarrassed about the last few seasons, and the excuse was, well, the coaches are voting against it because they don't have the money. Look, if you want to be in the Sun Belt, have a money for 1 extra umpire weekend. I'm sorry, we want to play with the big boys. We got to act like the big boys. But before we get to Grammys, I do want to ask you all. And look, there were some big wins midweek by the Sun Belt Conference teams. I mean, you look at Georgia falling to or nearly being beat by Troy. I think they ended up losing by 1 run, but Arkansas State really blows out Arkansas, and then they come back and they lose the second game 1-0. So that was great. Southern Miss belt to ass on Alabama. We got 2 wins over a Big 12 team. just as a whole, the Sun Belt Conference is gonna, and Arkansas State. I mean, Mike Silva, dude, I'm telling you, we're gonna get him on again. Y'all are gonna see how dry that man is, and I'm gonna purposely ask questions just to kind of trigger him and see how he responds. But he's done a hell of a job. You have to think about the fact that Arkansas State has not been competitive in baseball in 10 years, and that guy comes in 2 and now has him on a national stage beating Arkansas. Boys, it's going to be a gauntlet in the Sun Belt this year, and I'll open it up for you guys. I'm excited to get into conference season because that only helps us be better. When the Sun Belt is better, we're better.
Well, I guess I'll start. I mean, you can kind of look at last year, and we talked, or you guys, I should say, talked about it a lot towards the end of the year about how the Sun Belt kind of underperformed outside of Southern Miss and Coastal, and it seemed like we were going to take that step to being a potential Power 4 of the baseball world, and then we had such a bad year. I want to say the Southland had a better conference RPI than we did. But anyway, the way that the Sun Belt is performing early in this season is the potential I always thought it could live up to be. This is a very, very, very good college baseball conference, especially the top half of the conference, and Arkansas State's included in that. Don't forget about what Kendall Rogers said about Mike Silva. Everything he touches turns to gold. In 2 years, he's turned that program around. They came to Lafayette last year and put belt to ass on the Cajuns and embarrassed us over here. So Arkansas State, even though they might not have the baseball facilities yet that, most of the conference has, that is a program that's on the up and up, and it's, I don't want to say I'm excited to see it, but at the end of the day, it does make the conference better, which makes us more competitive, and at the end of the day, it makes us better as a program. I'm actually going to take it one step back, Nick, though. You mentioned earlier that, or it may have been RC, that Friday nights are about to get fun again at the Teague, and it's true. And it's because it doesn't take a lot to get these, people in Lafayette excited to go out to the baseball game. People love going out to the Teague. The weather's warming up. It's not cold anymore. Friday night after a long week of work, you can go to the ballpark, grab you some popcorn, some beer, some Mr. Vic's peanuts, get in a seat, and have a good time. The thing is you got to win when the house is full. And this week, you have a really good chance to take care of business and then turn around Tuesday night and take care of even more business, because the house is going to be as full as it's ever been. We might see a record attendance against LSU next week, boys. I'm just letting y'all know. So if you win when the house is full, more people are going to even show up. So I'm just saying, ride the momentum, ride the high. RC, you made some great points. The music is a total 180 of what it was against Missouri State. We have the background music back in check. Sean and his team, thank you for, figuring that out. If they listen to us, didn't mean to be too hard on you, but sometimes tough love gets shit done. And since then, y'all have been really good. The background noise is back. Foul balls, you got a little background noise. When a coach goes out to the mound, you got some noise. The first week, we barely had walkout songs for half the guys. It was just silence. We got walkouts for everybody, including the pitchers. Coaches got their song. Atmosphere-wise, we are back. I'm not going to say we're fully back to what it was, but we're close enough to where I ain't got to bitch about it, if I'm being honest with y'all. So I'm really excited about this weekend. I know we already kind of did a rundown on UC San Diego. I really believe that we can sweep them. I believe we should sweep them. Take 2 of 3, though, at a minimum. Turn around and direct your attention to TSAB. Have a good showing against them when the house is going to be, literally packed. And, hey, you might have some fans showing up for the rest of the season, boys.
Look, it's funny I think to me, the biggest compliment when I was announcer and when I was doing the music was, if nobody is bitching, I'm doing a good job. As soon as somebody starts, now they would call me a D-bag because I was sarcastic on the mic, which is just the way I do things. But, otherwise, if nobody's complaining, it's all good. Boys, let's go to Gourmets, brought to you by Lafayette Travel and Eat Lafayette. All right, this is going to be a good one. I'm going to start with you, RC. If you go and get a cold treat, Is it a snow cone or a Sno Ball? Your thoughts. And where do you want to get it from if you have to get one?
It's a snow cone. I've always called it a snow cone. I don't really know. I mean, I don't care if somebody calls it a snowball. It's always been a snow cone. And they used to have the little stand right there off of Dulles, kind of by Rue de Bellier. and they ended up shutting that thing down. I don't know what happened with that, but that was the kids' summertime favorite. We'd go take a ride down Dulles whenever we're sitting by the pool on a hot day, and that was always the best that I've had in Lafayette. Now they got the one over there by Don's that we hit.
That's the one I'm thinking of. I was going to ask you if that's still there.
Yeah, it is, and normally on a hot summer day they're packed to the gills. So it sucks that the one on Dulles shut down because that's literally 2 minutes down the road from the house.
What's your flavor of choice?
Sour apple.
All right, I can get down with that. KG.
Same exact answer to the T. Sno Cone all day long, and it was, Snow Depot was the name of it.
Oh, yeah.
That is literally where we got all of our snowballs. Yeah, I know they got the one on Johnston. We enjoy going there, but the problem is when it gets hot and you try to go there, the line is so dang long half the time, and that's a credit to them. But no, man, yeah, Sno Cone is all I've ever called it. Snow Depot used to really pump out some good ones, and it was a little ducked off corner right outside of Champion Subdivision off of Dulles. And I'm a very basic guy, even when it comes to ice cream. I'll be honest with you, my two favorite flavors of ice cream is Bluebell homemade vanilla and the cookies and cream. Very basic. But from a Sno Cone perspective, still basic, I love wild cherry. I don't know why. And guess what? I don't need all the additives, the little scoop. I don't need nothing. Give me some wild cherry Sno Cone. I'm good to go.
It kind of freaks me out when they start putting like condensed milk in it and stuff. I'm like, I don't need all that. I just need either strawberry or I like blue raspberry. I just call it blue or red. Those are my two, right?
Blair is a condensed milk freak. Anytime she gets a snowball, she needs a scoop of what. I'm like, dude, just give me the shaved ice with a little juice.
Just give me diabetic coma. I mean, just put me in that coma. But my favorite all time used to be Cajun Cone and Scott. It used to be off of Cameron Street by what used to be the old Showtime video place. Not that kind of video place. It was a VHS rental place. But they had a video thing, and then Cajun Cone, well, it burned down. So then they moved to where Cajans is now. And I think they still have the Sno Cone maker in Cajans. And somebody in here said something about Sno Cone at Old Time. I didn't know they had that, RC.
No, neither did I. But whenever you said something about Scott, it reminded me I can't think of the name, but it's that
the Purple House?
Candyland
Purple
Cottage,
House.
Yeah.
No, not Candyland
it's not
Cottage.
Candyland anymore?
Nope. I just call it the Purple House on St. Mary. That's right outside of Sats. You are 100% correct.
Snowballs just sounds like a drug. Like that sounds like I'm gonna go out tonight, boy, and we're gonna do snowballs in the club. Like that's what that sounds like to me. All right, Jerry. Piss me off. Your thoughts?
It's Snowball. The hell y'all talking about snow cones? It's gross.
I knew he was going to say
snow cones.
That.
Really? You know what the difference is? There's actually a difference between a snow cone and a snowball. Snowball is softer ice.
Something you throw when it snows.
No, it's much softer ice. It's finely coursed. A snow cone is crushed ice, so it's a little bit harder to chew. There's a big difference. If you go to Cajun Snow is a snowball. The snowball stand at Old Time is a snowball. The other stuff's a snow. If you want to, go to the Teak tomorrow night, order a snow cone. That's a snow cone. The ice is hard, is more crushed.
No, that's a slush.
A snow cone's more. No, it's literally like harder ice on a snow cone.
But you know,
there's a little
snow cone because they put it in that little cone shells. They used to put it in the little paper thing, right?
But it's the type of ice, guys. The difference between a snow cone and a snowball. Snowball is more softer, powdery ice. Snow cone is more crushed ice.
No.
Yeah.
It's 3 against 1. You're wrong.
Too bad.
Except Demontre says St. Martin Parish snowballs at Miss Peggy's in Henderson.
I'm telling you, guys, I'm literally telling y'all, like, I know the difference. It's an easy difference. And I'm going to say the line you hate, but it's more well-known in the 504. Snowball, softer. Oh, another thing. Best stand in town. I mean, y'all talked about it on Johnson Street. Hands down, it's Cajun Snow. It's Cajun Snow. That is my spot. I go there once a week. I wait in the line for 20 minutes, and it is worth every second waiting in that line. My favorite flavor, I used to be a pineapple guy. My mom used to give me pineapple, but Kayla got me attached to a stuffed wedding cake, which is it's a wedding cake flavor. It's white with Bluebell ice cream mixed in there, which is downright delicious. So
they don't have a seafood soup.
They don't have a seafood. I could go next door to Don's and ask him to pour some gumbo on there, but no. No, wedding cake, pineapple, strawberry, pina colada, you name it. I love. They are good. a good snowball treat in the summertime. So yes, there's a difference, guys. There is a difference. You've been educated, Nick. There is a difference.
Nick, you heard that coming from Mr. Dick Tower himself. We've been
Thank you.
educated.
Y'all been educated.
Yeah,
That's right.
he does his homework.
That's
let me tell
hey,
you.
y'all been educated. It's like comparing Creole gumbo to Cajun gumbo. They're two different things. Okay, it's still gumbo, but it's two different things. Just saying.
I'm surprised you didn't say something like a spaghetti flavored snowball.
Dude, I remember
Why do y'all
Cajun Cone.
why do y'all call it like what do y'all think it's the same thing? Like it's like the softer ice is considered a snow cone?
This is a snow cone.
I don't think it's really that big of a deal, to be honest. I never really fucking thought about it.
Yeah, it's just what we call it. It's the same thing, Jerry, and you'll agree with this. It's the same thing like a person from Lafayette talking to a person from New Orleans, and I say, yeah, you know, when I get home tonight, I got to save some dishes. Save them for what? That's been all that anybody from east of the bay, you know, east of the bridge would be like, save. What are you talking? Save your dishes.
You
Save
get
them for
down,
what?
Bo. You get
the
down.
point is, that's just what we call it. Like snowball, snow cone is the same shit.
It's like Coke and pop, I guess. But it is like, if you can actually look it up, the type of ice is different.
I really don't care that much, but I will say,
I mean, you asked.
Yeah, unfortunately. I saw there was a recipe out there for a gumbo pizza. Not even gonna lie. And he, instead of like spaghetti, instead of like sauce, tomato sauce, he puts roux, and then he puts like sausage, you know, all the Trinity, all that stuff, and he cooks it down, and then he puts it on the pizza and bakes it, and then puts cheese on top.
Where is this?
I don't know, some dude on TikTok. I was doom scrolling last night. But I remember, but my favorite, when going back to the snow cone thing, in Cajun Cone, because Sno Cone, it was Cajun Cone in Scott. It was this little tiny lady. She was about this tall, and she drove a bus, bruh. And she would come down like a bat out of hell, driving that little bus like this, I mean, zoom down Provo Street in Scott. And she would, you know, they had that big old machine, and boy, she'd put that big block of ice, and she, you know. I still think they got that at Cajuns. I really think that's something that they saved, because Cajuns bought Cajun Cone that was in that building. So anyway, yeah, off the rails. Appreciate that, Drew.
I will say this real quick. We can all agree in the summertime, whether it's a snowball or a snow cone, it's still delicious no matter what when it's 95 degrees outside.
Thanks, LeVar Burton of
You know what's even better than that? A $2 natty. Bring that shit back. Give me a $2 natty and some Cajun wins. How about
Have
that?
we found out if that's? Are they even doing that again? What's the situation
on Tuesdays?
on that?
$2 Tuesdays.
Only on Tuesdays.
It's
Okay.
$2 Tuesdays. The hot dogs, the natty lights, the popcorn, and a 2-for-1 ticket. So it's gonna be $2 Tuesdays from here on out. Now I think we only play 5 more Tuesdays at home for the rest of the year, so it's short lived. But let me tell you,
oh yeah,
what,
they were
boys,
counting the dollars on that one. They were like, oh, what's the shortest number of games we can do this for? Bam.
Well, then tomorrow they got the $5 Budweiser. I don't know if you're a heavy, but
it shouldn't cost $5
I'm a
for
type
Bud
2
Light,
diabetic. I think
Budweiser
I used to drink Budweiser. I drank so many of them. I think they said, "Oh, you probably need to go to a light beer, big boy."
Get you extra.
No, you went the Kid Rock route. You protested that shit. You were like, I'm done. All right, boys. It has been fun. Yeah, Drew said $2 natty's favorite snow cone flavor. I'm sure we can do something with that. Boys, it has been a lot of fun tonight. As always, we had a jam-packed episode. We had Brad Boyd on. We had Mike. Of course, RC joining us as well. Look, he got his natty lights right there.
He's ready. He's ready.
You look like that old girl on The Price is Right when Bob Barker was on there. Yeah. We'll get you an address next time.
Call me Vanna White, baby.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. On that note, we're going to call it a night. Thank you, RC, again. KG for Jerry. I am Nicholas. Appreciate you all for joining us. We'll see you at the Teague this weekend to get hopefully 3 more dubs as we go through the baseball season. And until next time, as always, go Cajuns.